Hey guys, my name's Steph. I'm Botanist Cool, and I'm here with all my friends today, or at least 3 of my friends today. That's about all of them. 4 of them.
Wait.
Fuck.
Wow.
Okay. Now we play the game.
No, which one isn't the friend? No. Oh, great slip of the tongue. Great. Wait, I was gonna start talking about the chainsaw, but no. Okay, we're starting with the whole friendship thing. Y'all introduce yourselves, left to right, up to down. Let's do it.
All right. I'm Katie, and I play Annalisa Goodbarrel, who is a halfling barbarian.
And my name is Kelly. I'm playing Liggs today, who's a wild sorcerer who's disguised herself as a human.
I am Neville. I play Ordo Broken Tusk. He is a Loxodon Tempest Cleric.
And I'm Noelle. I'm playing Tucker Sparrows, who is a half-elf rogue.
Now, just so you guys know, if you want, of course, I'll be in chat, primarily chatting via the texting. And if anyone else wants to, they might take a look at it. But please don't feel like, please recognize that. Well, Sam, we're playing a game to give you some entertainment. So we might not be on chat all the time, but we do hope that you guys do interact with us, share your love with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you think something's funny, feel free to go ahead and laugh at Tucker when Annalisa beats the shit out of him or something. It'll be hilarious.
Oh no!
The evil laugh from Katie just makes it even better.
Oh, that's not my evil laugh. That's just my genuine laugh. I've been working on my evil laugh.
Oh.
All right, it's confirmed Katie is innately evil.
I see it. I fucking see it. Are you guys ready to start with knowledge rolls?
Oh, right.
Oh!
Those exist.
Oh, so.
So, for those who don't
Definitely.
know, and to give everyone a second or two to catch up, knowledge rules are my homebrew rule. Oh, Kiwi Intensifies Lord Hissington, thank you very much for your 8 months of support. It's been an honor having you here, and I hope you enjoy your time here, Hissington. Thank you very much for the subscription yet again. For those who don't know, a knowledge roll is basically, what does my character know about the world? It's kind of a bare, basic knowledge roll. Do I know anything about a city I'm visiting? Do I know what kind of wine is my favorite? Do I have a favorite boy band? You know, that kind of stuff. Like, what would be, like, what kind of music? Anything that, literally anything that I can think of. Just to kind of give some backstory on the world since it's been going on for literally 10 years, I think, I've been DMing this world, if not more. So there's a lot of backstory, and that's kind of my way of easing in some of it to the campaign without just going like, here's a story. So if anybody does have a question, feel free to ask. And of course, if you don't have one, it's a-okay too.
I'll start off. I'll say, Annalisa wants to know about she already packed most of her stuff,
Yeah.
but she still wants to know kind of about the road to Kromble and if there's anything else she should get. I mean, she's already packed all her clothing as best she could, or at least her favorites. And maybe some practical things, perhaps. Non-slime shampoo, but she wants to know what else
She's
to
assured
put
it's
into
all
her little
non-slime, yeah.
her little bag of holding.
Okay, roll for it.
That's a 2, baby. that tracks, honestly.
Yeah, Annalisa, this is your first time leaving home. You were probably a little angry, so like while you respect mom and dad, you probably didn't fully listen to their advice. You're like, I'm gonna prove that I am better than Tucker, and I'm gonna do it on my own kind of deal. I'm gonna make them proud of my own kind of deal. So you didn't quite listen thoroughly. You got. If you remember the first episode, you said you came out in your fine, not your finest. You packed your fine and finest. You forgot to pack most of the practical you do need. So like. Yeah, a lot of that practical stuff you'd really want, it's just not there. So, you done messed up a bit, but inconsequential in terms of fighting. But yeah, you've done messed up on your packing quite a bit. Alright, anybody else?
I want to know if I'm familiar with the layout of the land of this island, just due to my past here.
Sure, sure, sure.
I got a nat 20.
Ooh.
Oh fuck. Okay.
Wow, good start.
This is the only time it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's been the one time. Oh god. Okay, I wasn't expecting this. Sure. So, as everyone should know, as everyone might know, Wiggs is amnesiac. Wiggs does not have her memory from a while ago. Kelly gave me free permission to play with it as I will, and this is going to definitely do something with that. But Kelly, you first and foremost know that your history is not within here. You know you're a visitor, but you're not sure on what terms you're a visitor, if that makes sense. And this island, as you call it, is actually a continent, a whole continent up on its own. And there are several points of interest for you within this continent. One, I would say that you are aware is in the northeast. Um, One which you are aware is in the mountains to the west, and in general, like there's a few scattered throughout. But like I think the one in the northeast, because it's closest to you, you are more aware and I guess sapient of it. You don't know why you're interested in this area, but you do have interest in this area. You do feel like you've come here to research this area for some reason or another. But yeah, that's about all I could give you. But it is actually quite a bit.
Yeah, all right. I'll take it.
All right, anybody else?
Yes. So last week we mentioned, what's the name city in this area again? Was it Oasis City or the Oasis Republic?
The Republic capital, which would be
The Republic
which would be
capital.
to your northeast. You guys have not gone there yet, obviously, or you have gone there not in the campaign, but you've gone there on your own time, and you were actually born there, if I remember correctly, Tuck.
Yeah, I just want to know more about the Republic capital, and if we need to get into specifics, I'd like to know more of my and Lanu's contacts there,
Sure, sure, roll for it.
institution-wise.
Roll for it.
Ah, that's an 18.
Okay, let me get up my Google Drive NPC list real quick. Didn't think I was gonna bring that out in this specific game. I need to prepare. Me, I don't. We should be fine. I don't need you. No. Okay, so the good news is when it comes to actually when it comes to the entirety of the area, there are quite a few people you do know. The Republic capital is kind of a really big area. It's very popular. You probably know quite a few people from your family, friends, etc. But I want to say your biggest contacts actually lie within the Parliament of the capital, which currently consists of 11 members, one person who is the orator or the Speaker of the House, and 10 people who are just voted in by the actual people of the outlying regions. You do know that the Parliament members are designated by region, so there's currently 11 regions, or essentially 11 strong cities that are within the Republic control. And I use strong in terms of post-apocalyptic strong. So these kind of regions basically vote on someone to represent them, etc. One of your more in-depth and trusted confidants within that area is actually Senator Ophelia, who is a. Let me see if I can find her there. Senator Ophelia is. I have so many senators here. I have so many senators. Senator Ophelia is a very old halfling woman. She's probably around her 150s. Her full name is actually a lot longer than that, but everyone calls her Senator Ophelia. She was a member of the Old Republic, and she knew Lanu from a very young age. So they are actually very close friends. She's also a big supporter of research and going out and doing other things. You do also know a few other people. You've probably got on a bad list of a few people. I would say specifically Funda Brightbeard, who's actually a human senator, and Benevolence Woodleaf, who is an elf senator. You've probably gotten on their bad list once or twice since they are a little bit more stuck up. But other than that, I would say like you have the general knowledge of who the senators are, how to be respectful, quote unquote, in the way Tucker would be respectful, and just the general layouts. I think those are kind of like your two big. I think that's like your big connection is Senator Ophelia. But other than that,
Okay.
you probably have some minor connections within the academic area. But you, as Tucker, don't care about academia more so as you care about how to produce your own research and do your own thing. So
Right.
Senator Ophelia definitely would be your biggest contact and probably one of your bigger supporters within the parliament itself.
Do I know which region Senator Ophelia is from?
I'll hold that off for another game because I don't have all 11 cities planned out yet.
Okay. Just wondering.
I do know, for example, the actual capital is one itself. Northbury is one. Vinegrove. Wait, that makes sense. She's a halfling. She's from Vinegrove. There we
Oh,
go.
she's the Vine Grove senator.
She's a Vinegrovian. There we go. I answered my own question there on accident. That's how you DM, guys.
Who is the Vinegrove senator?
Senator Ophelia. She's a very old halfling. She's very kind. Your family probably knows her very well in terms of like, she was probably an advisor for them for a little while, just like help manage whenever they needed help. But like your parents and grandparents did most of the work, obviously. But she was just kind of a loving character. And everyone kind of loved her. She was the town grandma in a way. But yeah, so Lady Ophelia from the town of Vinegrove.
And her name is it spelled Ephelia or is it with an O?
Spell that for me again.
Is it spelled Ephelia or is it OPH?
Yeah.
Okay. First one?
Yeah. Ephelia.
Okay.
She has a super long name. It's like it's Heswiv Zillin Isodria Ophelia. I don't know why she has 4, but I remember making it that day. It was like I'm pretty sure halflings have 1 name, but she has 4. Either way,
She's just that old.
She's just that old. Neville, have you got a question?
I was wondering. Sorry, I misplaced my die for a second.
You're good.
I was wondering if there may have been anybody I encountered in my travels that was especially noteworthy. Is that too vague?
No, I can work off that. Go for it.
Cool. Well, I got a 6. Yeah.
I will say this: you traveled in general with some clerics. You heard about the leaders, but you never really integrated with them because you started pretty early on, just like feeling something was off. So you never really went to the leadership. Never really went to the. I say you're vaguely aware of the senators, but that's really about it. That's really about it.
Cool.
All right. So it's after your meeting with Professor London Chillin that we're gonna currently start. Professor London Chillin has dismissed everyone. It's around 6 p.m., 7 p.m. After everyone had dinner at the Good Barrel Estate. And Elisa, it's almost time for you to start packing for tomorrow's trek, which starts an hour before dawn because Tucker complained about it starting at dawn.
Just remind everyone, why don't you?
Oh,
Yeah.
I remembered. I remembered. And so did Annalisa.
You guys have the night to do whatever you'd like, but you guys will be setting out pretty early tomorrow. At this point in time, I believe Annalisa. I don't know what you're gonna be doing, Annalisa, but I guess we'll just start with you since we're already at the Good Barrel Estate. Annalisa, what's up, homie?
I think for the nighttime, she's just gonna start packing up. Maybe double check her parents' armory. Like you already said that she already had the not great clothes packed, but or I should say very great clothes, inappropriately great for the journey.
She packed her
all packed up.
finest, not her utilitarian.
Yeah, and put her shampoo bottles in little baggies and whatnot and put that in there. And probably like a bunch of like, if they need to impress anyone, she's gonna be able to pull out her finest, that's for sure. But for now, she is probably going to, what was it, like her mom's armory or something, basically.
Your mom and your dad have a small little, I guess, memory room is the best way to put it, where they kind of have like all their stuff from their adventuring times. So yeah.
Yeah, so she's gonna go in there and scout around for a shield and maybe a some healing potions if she can.
Sure. Give me an investigation roll or a perception roll. Actually, that'd be.
Are you sure it couldn't be investigation? I mean, not that it matters.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right, that is a 9 minus 1 and 8.
You found the shield. The shield's not very hard to find. You found a very basic wooden shield. It gives you +1 to AC.
And that can't be equipped with double-handed stuff,
It
right?
cannot. No.
Okay. So
but you only
and
found.
what was the shield?
It's a +1 to AC. It's a wooden shield. It definitely looks a little worn for wear. It's definitely seen its fair share of battles. But as you kind of look around, you don't see anything immediately useful. But then Perrin comes down. Perrin's kind of been watching you as you just kind of looking around. I imagine there's like an awkward quietness because of what happened earlier that day.
Yeah, Annalisa is not directly like she's not. If he says something to her, she's not going to ignore him. But she's not directly like talking to.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of an awkward quietness between you two, but he eventually just tells you, he goes, "Third drawer on the right, sweetie."
She opens up the third drawer on the right.
And you see there's 3 cure wounds potions there. They do 2d4 plus 2 health.
3 cure wounds.
Or 3, I call them cure light wound potions because that's what they fucking call them in Pathfinder. 3 potions of healing. There we go. You get the 3 potions, and it seems like he obviously knew what you were going for.
Yeah.
But he told you where they were, and just making sure that you're finding everything you need. I guess that's kind of what you find that is satisfactory and useful to you.
Yeah. She gives a sort of polite, kind of quiet thank you. You know, just sort of like a not rude acknowledgement. Thanks for the help.
He replies,
and
he does reply, and he goes, "Always."
And I think once she packs that up, that's it for now. If we could circle around to her,
Sure.
you know, just before it's time for her to wake up.
Sure, of course. All right. Tucker, Wiggs, and Ordo, you guys have recently left the mansion. It's been a fun few days or for Wiggs, it's been a fun few weeks in Vine Grove. It looks like you guys will be heading out in the morning. You guys have some things you need to prep to do. You could just go back and sleep if you want. What are you guys planning on doing?
Tucker has some. Oh, sorry.
No, you can go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Tucker has a couple of things that he wants to do before leaving.
Yeah.
First off, is there like a post office around?
Due to the previous calamity, there was no post office. Typically, travelers such as yourself or Professor Lana would actually aid in transferring imported mail.
There are no like couriers or anything around.
Not officially. There's some that go around here, but they tend to be more messengers rather than like established offices. At the moment, there is not a messenger within Vine Grove.
Dang it. Okay. If that's the case, then Tucker is going to look for Kiwi Priest guy.
Reverend
I believe you mean Reverend Hissington.
Yeah, Reverend
Put some respect on the name.
Reverend Hissington is staying at the inn, the Adventurers Inn, which I believe is the Wine Barrel, if I remember calling it. I forgot. But he's staying at the Adventurers Inn, where Professor Lon is actually staying. So when you express interest in seeing Professor Lon, it's like, oh, I know where he's staying. Just come with me. And you see Reverend Hissington kind of sitting in the main lodge, drinking their specialized kiwi wine they've made somehow themselves. Um, and he kind of just goes, he's just kind of having a good time drinking this kiwi wine. He doesn't really see you coming by. Tell us, what's your business with Reverend Hissington?
Well, firstly, Tucker is going to wait for Lanu to like get distracted by something because he wants to talk to the Reverend alone.
I don't think Lanu's exactly babysitting you. At this point, he's probably like,
Okay.
there he is, and he just kind of goes to his room kind of deal.
All right. Tucker approaches. He's gonna look at that kiwi wine and like tilt his chin up and be like, "So, how does it taste?"
It is the holy wine of my religion, and I do quite enjoy it. Here he goes.
Glad to hear that.
He
And
kind of hands you the bottle if you want one. He's just like he doesn't say much. He just hands you the bottle, and he's just like he's got a little blush on his cheeks. He's definitely had quite a bit. He's relaxing,
Tucker tastes
taking the night
it.
off. You taste it?
Yeah.
Very sweet, extremely sweet. It's sweet and tarty, not like a normal wine. Not that I've ever tasted kiwi wine, but now I'm kind of interested in tasting kiwi wine. But it's very sweet.
I
and
like
tarty.
to imagine it tastes like key lime pie.
But I would imagine it's not for people who prefer a subtler taste. It's definitely a very offensive up in front of you taste.
Right. Tucker kind of puckers his lips a little bit, but he keeps holding the glass, though notably doesn't drink anymore.
Yeah.
And he slides in kind of across from him and he says, thanks for taking care of the professor the last few days.
He goes, oh, of course, that man. Very, very good turtle. Very, very good. Very, very, very big burns. Had to use a lot of kiwis on that one.
Yeah, he's still walking with a cane. Is he going to be okay?
He kind of looks around. And he goes, he's old.
Yeah, he is old. I mean, more burn-wise, is he going to be okay?
Oh, yeah, I think that the burns will go away soon. But I wouldn't be surprised if he needs the cane longer.
Tucker kind of frowns at that, and he says, so while we're traveling, is there any kind of, medication or ointment that he should have, or...
He smiles. And he goes into his bag and starts ruffling around, and you hear quite a few things ruffling. And he brings out a tin with a big kiwi print on the top. And he opens it to this kiwi green cream-colored cream.
Oh, God.
And he goes, I recently made this one. It should help relieve any pain he feels. Probably.
Probably.
To be fair, turtle skin is much, much thicker than human skin and elf skin and dwarf skin and halfling skin and gnome skin and a lot of skin. Even orc skin. And orc skin's very thick.
All right, I guess I'll take some at the doctor's orders.
He kind of he gives you the thing and he goes praise be to the kiwi.
Praise be to the kiwi. And Tucker lifts his glass kind of like in a toast, but is like clearly awkward about it.
You spend a few minutes awkwardly listening to the Reverend speaking. Before the Reverend does excuse himself, he's been here for maybe 30, 40 minutes, and he's ready to go and probably hit his saying. He drinks responsibly, doesn't go over the top. He's definitely, he's a buzzed, maybe a little drunk, but like he's ready to go back upstairs and call it a night before the work tomorrow.
Right. Tuck is gonna hang out in the tavern a little longer after getting his kiwi ointment.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to take out his sewing kit, and he has a red scarf that he wears around his neck, and he's going to spend the rest of the night just sewing up like the patches and making it sturdier.
Sure. You do that, and as you sew up the patches, you spend the night doing it. Are you gonna go back to your inn, or are you gonna stay at Lanu's inn?
Tuck is going to stay at Lanu's Inn.
Okay. You do that, and you get everything sewed up, kind of well patched, and however you like it. Maybe you like it more like a quilt work kind of thing. I don't know. Whatever you kind of want to do with it. Wiggs and Ordo, what do you guys want to do? Oh, did you want to get that pin, by the way?
Oh, did he not pick it up last week? Yes, he
Okay.
wants to pick up the pin.
Yeah, I'll say that before you went to the thing. You just picked it up quickly on your way on in.
Yeah.
All right, Ordo and Wiggs. Is there anything you want to do before you leave Vine Grove?
Ordo, well, first he'd like to kind of find an area with like either a really big tree or a fair number of trees, and he'd like to just kind of like sort of away from the main part of town, if possible.
Sure.
And he wants to just kind of plop himself there, sit down, and he's gonna do a ritual of detect magic on the Kiwi 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner.
Yes. I will say this: as you're kind of doing it is most certainly a holy 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner. But I guess it's like any general holy water. Max, but you use it to.
What does that mean?
So there's so you can actually make holy water in the game, and holy water as an action for holy water. You can splash this contents on a creature within 5 feet of you, or throw it up to 20 feet, shattering it upon impact. In either case, this is a ranged attack against a large creature. The holy water is an improvised weapon. If the target is a fiend or undead, it takes 2d6 radiant damage. A cleric or a paladin may create holy water by performing the special ritual. It takes 1 hour to perform. Essentially, all it does
it's
is
a bomb.
actually, it's not even that. It's in a plastic container, so it won't even explode.
Oh, I mean,
like
well, that's safe.
If you really wanted to use this as a weapon, you'd have to squirt it on someone.
I think you need silver to make holy water, so
yeah,
it's still
gold
better
pieces.
than nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have a werewolf that you need to take down and he needs to do a shower, then like you could give him this and this will probably weaken him up a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it smells good, like be like, do you want some kiwi pie? Or
kiwi pie? Here, sir, would you
know.
like a bottle of kiwi pie?
I mean, you pour it in a pie crust. It's all creamy.
No, it's still
Can
shampoo.
I make a holy pie out of this?
No.
Can I make a holy kiwi pie out of this
stuff?
stuff?
It's still shampoo. No. Do you want to eat soap?
Does it taste like soap or does it taste like kiwi?
Are you tasting it?
Could I, without wasting too much of it?
You dip your pinky in and go. Well, you have big.
I don't know if I can.
You can do like a little thing on your finger and go like, yeah.
Okay, cool, awesome.
This is absolutely cursed.
Just kidding. It's unholy
Make-
water.
Make a Constitution saving throw.
Okay. The only other thing I think Ordo really wants to do, and if we want to do some like roleplay with this, we can. Is I think he just kind of wants to like quietly like meditate and think about his journey so far in the test of his faith.
Sure, I'll give you.
But
I can give you some background for it to see how Ordo reacts to it. 'Cause I've planned out a little
Yeah.
bit of it. Ordo, as you kind of sit down after putting your holy shampoo back in your holy 2-in-1 conditioner kiwi shampoo
thank you. Thank you.
into your bag, you start meditating just for a little bit. You found a nice little area that not particularly covered in grapevines, but it does have quite a nice little tree. So it's a little far off of town, probably dangerously so for most people who aren't well prepared to fight, such as you are, or rather to de-escalate a situation such as you are. But as you're kind of sitting down, you're doing a little bit of meditation, thinking about what's been going on. You spent the early part of your life, you're only about 25, if I remember correctly,
Yes.
in the small churches of the Guild Republic capital. You know that the Guild Republic was made in haste 70 years ago, and that the capital itself was only been around as the capital as we know it for probably only 30, 40 years since it had to be built kind of quickly. But in the past 2 years, you have actively been able to start traveling. In the past year, you've been actively able to start traveling a little bit. I guess the question to Ordo is, what was his faith based on before? What did he believe in before, and why? And what did he believe in before? Like, what were his virtues? Which goddess did he follow, or what were the virtues of the gods or goddess he followed? And then I could give you a name because I don't know if you remember all the gods' names.
I definitely don't.
Fantastic.
I would say that initially he followed. I know we had talked about this before. Like there was a goddess, I believe, of like hard work.
Yes.
Yeah. So what was that? What was her name?
Zephyra, the goddess of labor.
Gotcha. Zephyr, goddess of labor. Sorry, I
Yeah.
want to get this written up.
What you do know about Zephyra is that Zephyra was a farmer. She had always been of humble beginnings, and she had never kind of overstepped that bounds. She knew neither good nor evil, but she knew work, and she
Gotcha.
knew working hard and being the best person in whatever you perceive to be your best person. The tenets typically were to work hard to establish yourself and spread whatever message you wanted to spread. So there were certainly some in the past evil clerics of Zephyra, and there are some good cleric of Zephyra. I put them in quotation marks because, once again, she's a true neutral goddess who has belief that the strength of your convictions and your work is what really gives out your message. So,
Okay.
yeah. So, what were Ordo's beliefs then?
I mean, Ordo definitely followed the line of thought that working hard and is crucial, but I think he definitely took to heart more staying true to yourself rather than the necessary like hard work and labor establishment.
Mm-hmm.
He, as I mentioned, his holy symbol. Well, as I mentioned to Steph, his holy symbol is actually a locket given to him by his family. And inside of it, it has "Stay true and good to yourself and to others. Have faith in yourself, Ordo,"
Mm-hmm.
engraved inside. And it was his dad who engraved it, but and so he's kind of just stuck to that message more than anything else. But he did. I mean, he did stray away from the church, monastery,
Mm-hmm.
place of worship that he was at due to like the authority figures and the leaders taking advantage of people and kind of treating them as pawns in their own games of like in their own pursuit of Zephyra's like ideals. They brought harm to others for their own personal gain, and so he started seeing that as I think I would say he was associating that with Zephyra. And while he knows that that's not necessarily the specific teachings of Zephyra, the fact that that is, I guess, more open and acceptable was very upsetting for him.
Yeah, during your time with one of the churches, because there's a few churches in the Republic, one for Ina, the goddess of health, and one for Zephyra, and one for Neslin, and a few others. The Church of Zephyra, which you've grown up with, and which you started a pilgrimage with, actually, wanted to go and start monopolizing the area of the Temple Mountains, which were notorious for being held by believers of Nostra, who were the goddess of truth and justice. And while a lot of people typically do a lot of respectful things for each other's beliefs, they certainly encroached on another belief system that you don't believe in the encroachment at the bare minimum. You don't believe in how they encroached it by saying, we are working to reestablish ourselves, we will take over and convert. It felt like almost sanitation of the area, where as you kind of watch them go through the Temple Mountains and even the temples in the mountains, because it's the Temple Mountains, there's temples in the mountains. They started to not quite get rid of Nostra's influence that used to be there for hundreds and hundreds of years, but rather they started to minimize it. Buildings had been not torn down, but buildings had been overdone. Some of the gorgeous painting and scenery that you would find alongside of the walls, where these artists of Nostra spent probably decades perfecting and telling stories through, were covered and hidden from the world because
sort of like the erasure of a culture.
Exactly.
Okay.
All in the name of the hard work of Zephyra. And I will say this, you didn't agree with that 100%. This, while not an immediate like downputting of other people, it most certainly was a downputting of a culture, a downputting of a religion, and a very harsh way of doing so. And you meditate on that for a little while, and you meditate on yourself and how you relate to that. If you want to say anything about that, you're free to. If not, we can move on to Wiggs. But I think the ball's in your field at this point.
Cool. I think I'm gonna. I think Neville's gonna also meditate on that. And I think I'm gonna pass the ball over to Wig. I will say once Ordo's done meditating, he does return to the inn.
Sure.
And then does his usual, tipping the bard.
Yeah.
And then just kind of retiring for the night.
Wiggs, Ordo has kind of disappeared, and so is Tucker. For a moment, like they were there, then they were gone. They're somewhere. They'll come around eventually. What is Wiggs doing on the night before y'all leave?
I think Wiggs is just gonna go to her room and start counting all of her items to make sure they're all there.
Because Tucker could have stolen any of them. You go to your room. You go to your room and slowly start investigating the area that you are aware that is the pile of clothing and goods you have. Everything checks out. Nothing seems to be taken or missing or anything like that. But just everything kind of just checks out.
That's all she does for the night.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's all you do for the night. And as you guys eventually retire back to your rooms and sleep before getting ready for your trip ahead, Of course, you guys drift into sleep and you relax and you rest up as best you can. It's the morning, and just before the cock crows, shall we say, Annalisa, you wake up just a little bit earlier than you expected to. Perhaps the nerves in your system kind of got you up a little earlier than even you would imagine you would have gotten up, but there hasn't been a service sent to you yet. You got a little bit of time in the morning to do something if you really wanted to. What did you want to do, Katie?
So as you said, it's early in the morning,
Yeah.
and Annalisa's kind of tossing and turning in her bed, just sort of going like, "No, no, you can't be serious." And we go into her dream, and in her dream, she's standing in this sort of long, dark room. It's kind of reminiscent of the underground of the obelisk, because that's probably the creepiest place she's seen. And on the other side of the room are her parents and someone else. And she's like, "No, you can't just leave me." It's like, and Perrin steps forward and goes, "We have someone better now." And he reaches a hand up
Oh my
and
god.
he pats Tucker's hip because he can
Oh
only
my
reach
god.
that high.
Oh,
He's like,
shit!
and he says, "Come along now, my new, better, taller child."
Oh my
Oh my
god.
god.
And they all turn around and start walking away. And Annalisa goes, "No, no, you can't." And there's a big thud. And then another big thud as a 17-foot tall Loxodon walks up behind her, towering over her, and says, "Do not worry, little one. Wiggs and I shall be your parents now."
Oh Lord.
And
Oh,
from
man.
around his leg, Wiggs peeks out, having something squiggling in her hands, and she goes, "The newt on my face gave birth to a child. Come meet your brother, Annalisa."
Oh my god.
And
Wow.
Annalisa falls to her knees. She throws her hands up into the air and shouts, "No!" And then she awakens.
That is the most
That's in-
creative dream I've ever heard.
wow. Incredible.
This is the most cursed session yet.
We've had a lot of curse sessions outside of the stream. This is a very everyone's
Oh.
bringing their A game for this shit. Starting this character development nice and early. You wake up not in your normal. You wake up in a cold sweat, Annalisa. This is probably the scariest dream you've ever had before. Ever.
Terrifying, truly terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. Having a newt as a brother is fucking terrifying. And also, of course, being abandoned by your parents for someone you declare as a rival of sorts. Most certainly a very terrifying concept for someone of your age and your current disposition, being as protected as you have been for the past several years. But you do realize that while it's not an hour before the cock crows, you do realize it's pretty darn close, and you will have to get ready soon. And as you start getting up and getting ready, you hear a knock at your door, and you hear the sound of your father's voice. And he kind of calls to it, and he goes, "Annalisa, you up?"
Annalisa doesn't respond right away because she's still half composing herself. But she does go to the door, straightening her hair and her nightgown. I assume she hasn't changed yet. She opens the door.
Your father looks at you as you open the door, and he goes, "All right, good, you're up. That's good. Are you ready? Do you have any questions? We got a lot of your mother and I got a lot of experience, and we want to give you everything you need."
No, I think I'm fine. And she sort of like looks unsure for a moment, but then kind of like forces herself to harden. Is like, of course I'm fine. I've already packed. I have everything I should possibly need.
Perrin frowns a little bit, and he goes. He goes. Sorry, I gotta actually get a drink of water real quick. There's like a frog in my throat.
He says that to her.
No. He
Not a
goes, yeah,
frog.
I'll be back in 10 minutes. Let me get some water real quick. No. He goes, listen. And he kind of walks into your room. There's a level of, obviously, communal informality you have as a family, obviously. So he just kind of walks in your room, and he takes a seat near your desk, and he goes, your mom and I prepared a small parting gift for you and the party. You know, basic healing stuff, medicines, some water and some drinks, a little bit of wine to remind you of home if you ever want some. But and you may not realize it, your mom and I, and she won't admit to it. I don't want to admit to it either, but you're our daughter, and that's more important. Your mom and I messed up a little bit, and you need to learn more than we could teach you. So I'm hoping you learn everything we couldn't on this journey, that we couldn't teach you on this journey. You see that he's having trouble with his words in terms of like, he's not really expressive to the point where it's like he goes into deep emotional talks where he's talking about himself often enough, but like he's trying to be honest to the point that's like he definitely feels like he's to some degree failed in teaching you, and he wants you to go out. He's not, I guess, addressing your base fears, shall we say, of replacement, but he's definitely most certainly, because I don't think he's aware of them, honestly, but he's definitely kind of trying to explain his reasoning to why he wants you out, so there's less misunderstanding. And he goes, "We want you to learn everything we could not teach you in a world that isn't as comfy as the Good Barrel Estate, you know." So, honestly, that's it. And that's it. You gotta learn.
Annalisa's kind of quiet through this. In some ways, it's kind of hard to hear this because before, it was Lanu Chillin saying it.
Yeah.
And while her parents were kind of pushing her out, they were still being kind of soft about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a way, it's kind of almost like it's almost like a scolding. Like when she hears we didn't teach you right, we didn't raise you right. Like obviously she admires her parents so much. Like she doesn't take that as a way to slide off that something's wrong with her. It's actually quite the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
That something's wrong with her to the point where her parents feel like they made a mistake.
Mm.
And so she's quiet because she doesn't know what to say to that at first. And after a moment, she goes, "Well, if you say there's something I need to learn, then perhaps there is. But I don't think you did as bad a job as you think. And I'm going to prove that to you."
He kind of smiles at you a little bit, and he goes up to you and he gives you a gentle hug, and he goes, "Oh, he goes. I hope you're right. I hope we did. I hope your mother and I did you justice. because you deserve the world. But we're hoping you learn so much more and grow to be such an amazing person.
And she responds, "Of course I will. It's in my blood."
He smiles and gives you a little squeeze and a hug. And he goes, "All right, I'm going to let you get ready. I bet you're nervous." So
Not at all.
he laughs and he goes, rule number one about adventuring. If you're nervous, you're right. He kind of gives you a pat on the back. He goes, overconfidence can really hurt you sometimes. That's rule number one. And he smiles at
Well, I'll
you.
keep that in mind.
He smiles at you a little bit, and starts heading back to what you assume to be the exodus point that you guys will be taking shortly and be leaving with the group with. That did not come out right. To the carriage in which Lanu is probably waiting for everybody.
Yeah. Annalisa gets all dressed up in her fine clothes.
There you go. So it's not much later that everyone, including Serafina and Perrin, as well as maybe one or two maids and the Reverend Hissington, are at the carriage in which Professor Lanu is waiting for everyone to come join, and eventually everyone does get there. It's probably, I'm assuming Tucker, Wiggs, and Ordo kind of left together, and because of Tucker sleeping in a little bit, probably like 5 minutes late.
Tucker has really tired eyes, and his red scarf is like wrapped all around his head, so his like nose and mouth are covered, and he's like just a flop of like uncombed curly brown hair.
Amazing.
He looks absolutely miserable.
Professor Lanu Professor Lanu goes, okay, it seems like we have everybody here. It is fantastic to see everyone in such pristine and ready condition. He kind of looks over everybody, and when he says pristine and ready, he's specifically looking at Tucker. And he goes, it is time set out. By the end of tonight, we should be passing the nearby river, which I believe is Philanthropy. And then by tomorrow afternoon, or possibly even tomorrow morning, we will be at the city of Kromble, or what was known as the city of Kromble. He goes, if you guys have nothing left, then feel free to load yourself on the cart. I will drive it. And halfway through, we'll have someone take my place to lead it through the rest of the area. Of course, should you choose to walk alongside the cart for a little while, you are welcome to do so as well.
Please keep your hands and feet inside the cart at all times.
Yep. He's giving you the safety checklists. He's like, you can't, no photos allowed, all that stuff. Serafina and Perrin kind of go, Serafina goes, thank you very much for all of your help, Professor Lanu. It has been invaluable in understanding our obelisk, and we cannot wait to hopefully maybe even fix it with the research you've given us. And Professor Lanu just kind of nods to her, and she goes, please make sure, keep everything good. We've given you plenty of supplies for the road, and we hope that it satisfies you on your trip back to the capital. And Professor Lanu goes, of course, I have no doubt that we will be able to manage our resources. And after that, Serafina kind of goes up to Annalisa, because she doesn't care so much about the other three, but she cares about Annalisa. And she looks at you, she kind of puts her hands on your shoulders, and she has a smile. She's both excited and probably a little scared. And she puts her hand on your cheek, kind of like, the whole motherly way, and gives you like a gentle pat on the cheek. She says, we put something a little special in there for you. If you ever need to send any letters home, there's a little box. Just feel free to plop it again, and it'll come right over here. And she gives you a warm hug, and she says, "We look forward to hearing about all your victories."
I'll be sure to write about each and every one.
And Perrin kind of gets in on the hug, and he goes, "You best, you best tell us." And you three of you hug for a moment, before
Ordo looks over and just like he knows not to ruin the moment, but he really wants to get in on this hug.
I
knows
feel like
better,
you'd have 2 good barrels suplexing him instantly.
Yeah, probably.
And the first one to break it is Perrin because he's on the outside, and then Seraphina gives you a squeeze before letting you go. And she goes, "Lanu, please be sure to show her where the box is." And he goes, "Of course. I have already made adjustments to it." And she goes, "No, that's... Wait, what?" He goes, "Yes, now we can send letters anywhere we..." She goes, "We gave..." Okay. No, it's fair. It's fair. Okay. Just make sure to return it back in its original state, please. And he goes, "Of course." And as everyone kind of gets onto the cart, Lanu goes, "Thank you for your hospitality." They kind of wave back, and Reverend Hitchington from the side goes, "May the Kiwi be with you, and safest and sweetest of travels to you all."
And the sweetest of travels to you two.
So,
Wait, you're not traveling.
so as they're leaving, because I'm assuming they're like leaving right now.
Yeah, essentially.
For until they're like out of town, Annalisa's just kind of like standing on the cart as it's moving, and just kind of like waving them off, like puffing her chest out a bit and whatnot. And as they get further out of town, she sort of simmers down and sort of like sits down and sort of like curls up and hugs her knees and just sort of like sits there sullenly in the corner of the cart.
Tuck is trying real hard to take a nap.
Ordo Links?
What seems to be the problem, little one? That's directed towards Annalisa. Sorry, I wanted to...
Yeah, there's many little ones here. Annalisa turns towards him and goes, "What do you mean?"
You seem upset.
I am not upset.
That sounds like something someone who's upset would say.
Well, what would be something that someone who wasn't upset would say? Also,
No.
that it would seem.
That's all right. I stand corrected.
And Lisa, will you keep it down, please?
Ordo was the one who was talking.
Ordo reaches into his bag, pulls out the penguin of warding, and just hands it to Tuck, and says, "This might help with your slumber."
Yes, give the toy to the child.
Tuck
When Annalisa says that, Ordo does actually shoot a look at her, and it's not full of like rage, but it's clearly like a come on now. Like
Annalisa shoots a look back, like, no.
Ordo just kind of shakes his head, sighs, and just looks forward.
Tuck takes the penguin and 100% snuggles up to it. And he's just like, he might have been the one that asked you the question, Annalisa, but you're the one yelling.
Well, then go to sleep already.
I'm trying. And he snuggles into the penguin.
Well, try harder.
He pulls his scarf up to cover his face and ears.
Annalisa huffs and looks out the side, watching the road move by.
Wiggs?
I'm going to sit next to Annalisa and like mimic her position.
Like how close are you? Like, are you invading personal space?
Right in front of you.
Right. You guys are bumping shoulder. No, okay. How close are you?
Like, I'd say like I don't know, like maybe like 2-3 feet next to her side.
Okay, so like Annalisa's on like the back part of the cart on the left, just kind of like huddled up on her, holding her knees, kind of whatever. And then Wiggs, you're like 2 feet to her right, also on the back cart, just kind of like looking out.
I think Annalisa, like, I don't think that's close enough that Annalisa feels like her personal space is being, like, violated. So I think she's mostly fine with that. Like, after a few seconds of, like, delay or what have you, she probably, like, glances over just to see what Wiggs is up to. And if she's just sitting there the same, she'll go back to staring at the side of the road.
Is Wiggs doing anything else, or is Wiggs just hugging her?
Nah, I'm just mimicking.
Okay. So you guys
Yeah.
spend the, I guess I want to say the first 6 hours kind of in silence running through the area. And Annalisa, you've seen this area once or twice before as you kind of went through, and probably like smaller trips with dad or mom, just kind of like showing how trade used to work, kind of deal, that kind of stuff. But everyone else, you've probably seen the open fields quite a bit. It is, of course, a little daunting and a little bit scary, especially for a first-time person, because it's just straight open fields, very fertile, a lot of wildflowers growing in beautiful, gorgeous colors, and what seems to be almost untamed wilderness for the past 70 years. In fact, the road itself is hardly visible, as now weeds have started to invade the former stone that it used to be and started to grow up. And you can see that as of recent, there's definitely been more tracks of wagons coming through. So there's no longer like that super clear paved road, but there's kind of a natural trail that's been made on top of that paved road, if that makes sense, from all the disuse of the past 70 years. And you kind of look around, and it's both gorgeous and a reminder of what used to be. There are, as you get further and further out from the Good Barrel Estate, plenty of Good Barrel buildings that used to exist that currently lie in small ruins that are typically like farmhouses, etc., where the Good Barrels used to grow grapes, vines, and whatnot, but currently just have broken down buildings. And as you guys get further and further away, you see that Lanu kind of eventually turns around on the cart, and he goes, "Okay, pop quiz for everyone. Make sure Tucker's up, please."
Porter nudges Tucker.
Tucker was kind of awake already, but he begrudgingly sits up and reveals his face.
He goes, "Pop quiz for everybody. As you guys know, you investigated the basement of the Good Barrel Estate, found quite a few interesting things, but I completed the research assignment and I was able to put together some interesting facts. Let's see what you have learned. Please tell me in your best guess. What's your hypothesis for what the basement was, how it worked, and why those slimes attacked you?" Tucker, this is something he actually does with you quite a bit, actually. Every time after a adventure with him, he will kind of ask you, what is your opinion, what is your take, and what do you believe happened? And it's obviously a challenge for you to have a level of critical thinking and challenge your critical thinking to see what happens, because not all the time you come out with a full bit of knowledge, and sometimes just Lanu knows everything or knows more. So this is kind of a challenge to you guys to get your critical thinking going. He's obviously, in a way, he's training everyone as if he trains you. So yeah, he's giving you guys he's giving you guys an icebreaker group exercise.
Tuck, the nerd he is already pulling out his notebook that he's been taking notes in and flipping through.
Can I make a knowledge check?
Yeah. What do you want to roll? Arcana, nature. What do you want to roll?
Nature.
Go for it.
15.
So, what you do know is for sure, obviously, nature magic was involved, and you do know that there was and you've heard of the study before, but you've never really focused on it because once again, you are a cleric. There are magic focal points, and you're aware that this is like a magic focal point. I think what your best guess you have of a 15 is that with your knowledge, the breaking of the statue or the breaking of the obelisk actually impaired its ability to work properly, which may have influenced slime growth. I think that's kind of the immediate information you get from thinking about stuff.
Gotcha. Ordo does not say any of that yet, but he has that prepared.
Can Tuck give an answer?
Sure, if Duck wants to.
Tuck is going to pipe up in his little know-it-all voice.
Oh, amazing.
Actually,
And he's as he's flipping through his notes, he's going to say, we know that the main source of power around here was a mana point. It was very likely that the Good Barrels hired somebody to build an obelisk so they can channel the mana point's magic to make the land around here more fertile. At one point, the breaking of the obelisk probably caused the nature magic in the area to become corrupt or at least overflow and begin producing these slimes. Once we were able to fix the statue and the tears in the orbs that we found, everything seemed to become more stable. What doesn't make sense is where the slime were escaping from, since given that it was in the center of the town, they were actually attacking from outside of the town, which is kind of confusing.
A good first synopsis.
Ordo is visibly impressed. Not that he is surprised that Tuck is intellectual, but was just not used to Tuck giving such a, I'm not going to say eloquent, but a very well thought out, educated response. And he just kind of like gives a little thumbs up to Tuck because that's better than he had.
But from now on, Tucker, I am going to encourage you to take a supporting role in the conversation and see if anybody else can put together anything else.
I got one.
He goes, please, Wiggs, by all means, give us your theory.
Since the moment I got to the town, what was it in the center of town?
You went real quiet for a second. Say again.
So the obelisk in the center of the town.
Yeah.
I'm instantly attracted to it. I believe its imbalance attracted certain things or created an unnatural form of magic. Or not unnatural, but just kind of an unbalanced form of magic. And it was attracting things from the outside and both the inside, creating slimes attacking from the outside while also slimes were underneath. And I'd also like to roll intimidation for my synopsis at Tucker.
Now,
Nerd fight.
I will say this, Kelly. Do see if you could get your mic working a little better. You kind of cut in and out. It's really soft and really loud, and really soft and really loud. I'm not sure if it's just me.
I
It's
heard
kind
that.
of soft.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I got most of what she said, but
Yeah.
I understood it, but I don't know how it's gonna sound on the stream. Give me an intimidation roll, and Tucker, give me a sense move, and I'm gonna give Tucker advantage because I don't think too much has been said that's quite out of the expected range. But but you definitely added in some new things for sure by adding in the imbalance of the magic creating these slimes. So I'll give you advantage, Tucker, on this roll for insight.
all right, insight. That is a 12.
Wiggs,
12.
You have a good chance there.
I got a 12.
Oh shit. I'll say this: you guys are at a kind of an intellectual stalemate, shall we say? You both are kind of like you eye each other over. Let me put it like that. You just gotta give each other the stink eye for a second. And
Tuck is going to turn to her and he's going to say, so what your implication is that there are other points of magic around here that's creating the slime other than the one that we were looking at?
100% or other magic abnormalities. Wow, I couldn't pronounce that.
Well, what would be the abnormality? I can't pronounce it either, apparently.
We wouldn't know until we see the new lay of the land. And it could be something that's naturally producing there. It's just at an overwhelming amount that it seems unnatural.
Tuck is like really invested in this conversation and he's like making more notes. And he's like, you know, what was weird about it is that the slime, they had a very fermented smell, a fermented sweet smell. It seemed like they were almost melding with the grapes and the vines.
I mean, they were producing in a winery town.
Do you think that that might be part of like this melding of magic? Like there might be a corruption in the actual land?
Wiggs is stumped.
What Ordo, Professor?
Can Tuck roll intimidation since you stumped Wiggs?
I do have a question for in-character Tuck. Is Tuck invested in this almost as if like nerd talk, or is he trying to show off his shit? Because I almost got the feeling that he was invested, like he was actually like wanting to work together and bounce ideas versus intimidate. But if you think he's intimidating, then I'd say go for it.
No, he's not. He's invested in it in a nerd talk sense, but he didn't miss that look that she gave him.
That's fair.
At the same time.
I'll keep the previous role as it was. Just saying, like you guys are definitely like you're having your intellectual battle. I won't have the intellectual battle determined by a role, but rather by role play. So yeah, you're having an intellectual nerd battle. Fucking nerds.
Okay, botanist. Professor, I am curious. Do you know what normally creates slimes, or what slimes are usually created out of?
He goes, in theory, a arcane wielder can craft slimes in a similar way that you can craft constructs. Of course, in nature, they are seen sporadically. Some theories say that they had begun to produce after a few individuals or arcanists have let them go into the wild, almost like an invasive species, or they had escaped captivity. Though there is no one set of theories that currently encompasses the existence of slimes and oozes. I actually believe that it might have been more of a invasive species situation where they may have gone forward and produced on their own. There's evidence from a previous establishment known as the Missile Guild that they have experimented on slimes to even gain forms of sentience, though we have not had any updates on that since a couple hundred years ago. But it's not impossible, and I personally believe that they were accidentally introduced to the wild. That being said, we've clearly found that some can be produced via nature magic. So this is support for a new theory entirely.
Tuck is going to Oh, go ahead, Ordo.
No, that was just a taking
Um,
it in thing.
Tuck is going to say, is it normal for other types of slime to be attracted to each other's pheromones? Because we did notice that these slimes tend to crowd into areas where other slime have perished or secreted um, their scent.
A fantastic observation. I have personally gathered some of the secretions myself, and next time we see slimes, I highly suggest we test it. I'm not sure.
Huh. Tucker makes more notes in his notebook.
Annalisa, do you have any thoughts on it? It is your land after all.
So this whole conversation, while Tucker was getting like interested in it, Annalisa was kind of the opposite. She was listening, but the whole time she was still sitting with her like arms on her knees, staring out the
Yeah.
side of the cart. So she continues doing that, and she's like, well, we hired you to look into it. I don't know why I should have to speculate.
Professor Lanu goes, that is true. Your parents have my full theory on the subject. Though, it might be advantageous for you to learn and make theories of your own. Perhaps you might make a theory better than mine.
Well, what do you want me to say? I haven't studied it. I haven't needed to. I don't know anything about how slimes are made. Everything you said made sense, and I don't see why I should have to question it further than that.
He kind of nods. And he doesn't respond back entirely to you, and he goes, Ordo, perhaps you have some input alongside what has already been said. You've asked a few inquiries, but what is your theory?
I will be completely honest. I when Wiggs ended up saying starting to question the it was like the creation of the slimes of like the fermentation
Sure.
of the slimes. That's where uh, that's the point that Ordo most wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
um, but he's not like I'm not quite sure what I would what to postulate from it, other than I find it very interesting that these slimes were created through. I mean, I believe that it was the just the volatility of the nature magic from the obelisk um, created the slimes in the area. I believe that with the while uh, the strongest point of magic for the obelisk was clearly at its source, or at at the base of the obelisk. Um, I see no reason why the magic from that obelisk couldn't have extended beyond, and perhaps that's why the slimes that we faced down there were significantly stronger, I believe, than the slimes we faced elsewhere, because of their proximity to the very powerful druidic magic. But that's all. That's all I'm really certain of.
So Ordo, I'm pretty sure that was an added character, right?
Uh, I said it like in character, but with like
Gotcha.
Neville's
Yeah.
verbiage, I guess.
Sure. Ordo expressed those concerns and those ideas and theories to the group, and Lana goes, yeah, this is a very interesting point. Several spells, if conducted over time, can become permanent. Why can't the influence of an obelisk? Very good theory, Ordo.
But that's also assuming that the obelisk is the actual source of all the slimes, whereas um, it could. I think that no one theory is definitely, or no one theory stands out as the most likely to me, to Ordo. Um, each one is rooted in some pretty solid foundation, and so he's not particularly strongly opinionated one way or the other.
Well, I will say this, Ordo. This is a fantastic observation. Professor Lana goes, and he goes, Tucker, if you could please, there's a small box towards your right. He kind of just vaguely gestures to the area because he's still looking at the road, obviously. There is a jar of jam in there from the good barrels. Would you guys like to try tasting it?
Annalisa turns her head slightly and looks towards the box.
Or Ordo Ordo wants to do an insight check just to make sure that this is actual jam.
Wiggs will go right for it.
Roll for insight.
All right, 14.
He's telling the truth. It's jam.
Did Wiggs also want to roll for that?
Nope, Wiggs is just gonna go for it.
All right, Tuck is going to turn. Oh, go ahead.
No, Ordo follows suit. Ordo also.
Remember to use spoons. Not your
Tucker
fingers.
is going to take the box and open it.
As you open the box, there's a few things in there. Like, it's definitely not a box from the good barrel, shall we say, but in there is a jar of what looks to be jam. It is purple in nature. It has jam consistency. You kind of shake it a little bit, and it sounds like jam, like clumping inside of it.
When the jar's open, is there any like noticeable smell, any pungency to it? Remember, Ordo's got a strong nose.
Yeah, 100.
Does it smell like a certain kind of shampoo?
I wouldn't say it smells like your shampoo. It definitely smells fermented.
Well, you know what I mean.
Why would it smell
Yeah.
like kiwi shampoo?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
So it doesn't smell like slime shampoo, is what you're saying?
I will say this: immediately it smells fermented and sweet, very similar to the smells you immediately were granted upon when you went down into the basement. Which, yes, is the smell that was added to your shampoo, shall we say? And as Lana looks back, he goes, "Feel free to try some."
I'm gonna put some jam on a ration.
Sure, you take out like a cracker ration.
Annalisa's gonna like pull a spoon out and like go over and start like scooping something for herself.
Tuck is tempted to use his finger, but then doesn't, and just waits for everyone else to take some first.
Ordo's conflicted because he trusts Lanu. He trusts that Lanu wouldn't put them in direct knowing danger.
Yeah.
But he's not positive that Lanu is positive about how dangerous it is.
That's a good
so
instinct, Ordo.
He takes a spoonful, but like a teaspoonful, not
Yeah,
like.
gotcha.
Well, I guess the teaspoon equivalent for a loxodon, you know, because even let's be real here.
Jar.
Yeah, you take the whole
He and Annalisa take the same amount for different reasons.
I'll say this: it sounds like Wiggs is the first one to try it. Wiggs, the first thing you feel is you immediately taste a very fermented, disgusting taste that slowly begins to develop into being very subtly sweet. It's still pretty disgusting in all honesty. It tastes fermented, it tastes unfinished, but it tastes surprisingly sweet, and it tastes like grape. And after seeing your displeased face, but alive face, I think Ordo and Annalisa go for it. You guys have the same experience.
I would say that Annalisa would only kind of like eat if she didn't notice, which she probably didn't.
Okay,
She probably
so
ate it. But I think if it's a bad taste, she spits it out.
and
Like if it's not wine taste,
yeah.
she definitely just like spits it out.
It's fermented for sure, but it's not finely fermented as if you were finely fermented to be a wine. It's rudimentary, it's crude, it's crass, but it is very.
She definitely spits it out 100%.
You spit it
Tuck
out.
is going to watch her and go, classy.
She's going to glare at him with absolute, like she's furious.
She's raging.
She's not raging yet.
Ordo.
But she's really mad because she thought she was gonna get some jam from home, and she got this disgusting crap.
Ordo.
Ordo, upon seeing that, decides that he is very curious, and he puts the entire spoonful in his mouth, but instead of swallowing it, he savors it.
Oh, Ordo! Oh God,
Ordo is curious. Ordo is very curious to see.
It's a
what this
vintage
is.
1957 Merlot.
Oh,
No,
if
if it
it's
was
not a
wine,
Cabernet.
Annalisa would drink it. I clarified this.
No. It definitely tastes that disgusting fermented taste. It does not feel just like what's it? It has the consistency of jam. It has the feeling of jam. It's just fermented and and then it starts to taste a little bit sweet. And the sweetness is good, but once again, it tastes like grape. Tucker, do you eat it?
Yeah, Tucker is going to stick his finger in and lick it.
Oh, Tucker. And you do that, and same thing for all of you. Annalisa had just spit it out. She just poked over the cart, went, and Lanu goes. So the interesting thing about the slimes is they lose their acidity after a little while.
Ordo just kind of like
eat slime.
Ordo just nods and he's like, "Yeah, I knew this was it. I knew." And he tries not to look too defeated, but he's a little like, man.
Annalisa like drops her, like throws her spoon to the ground, like she's super upset.
He goes, I found this out yesterday. It seemed that the farmers had collected a sample from quite a while ago, perhaps 2-3 days ago, and put it in a jar. And I decided to test it last night, and 2 nights ago, and found that it's just really bad tasting jam. But it is grape flavored jam.
So this would mean that it absolutely came from, well, not necessarily. I mean, there are probably grapes in other places, but it almost certainly came from, or to Ordo, it seems like it came directly from the barrels, like the actual barrels of fermented.
That is one hypothesis, though the good barrels have not reported any missing foods. It's not impossible, and my theory is that they were simply a product of the vines themselves.
Tuck is going to look at Annalisa, look at Lanu, look at Annalisa again, and he's going to kind of let out a quiet sigh, and he's going to be like, back when we were down in the beneath the obelisk, Annalisa actually figured out that that the little orbs were what was keeping the slime's magic intact. And she was the one that figured out that we needed to replace them in order to get the energy back to equilibrium.
A
Maybe there's
fantastic-
something like that around.
He goes, a fantastic observation by the young good barrel. Yes, the orbs actually were meant to control the output of the obelisk. With the age of the orbs being well into their 70s since their last changing, they had started to falter, and my guess, perhaps a month ago, started to apply toxic, more acidic properties to some of the vines that then began producing some slimes. Or that is perhaps my theory. You have brought over quite a few.
Why do you think the if the obelisk was created by powerful druids, correct?
Mm,
This is going to be in character, by the way.
yes.
So would this imply that the druids knowingly had an obelisk that needed to be like whose magic needed to be controlled and tamed? If they created orbs to plug the holes, so to speak, and reduce the volatility of the magic, did they knowingly do you think that they knowingly made the obelisk too powerful?
No, I do not believe so at all. My belief is that they had conducted maintenance on it quite regularly, as we had found replacements in the basement after searching a little bit more. I believe that simply the maintenance had gone undone since the obelisk broke, as it was assumed the obelisk lost its magic. I do not believe I shall correct myself, I don't know if the druids think they made too much power within the obelisk, though messing with a mana point of any sort may bring consequences unknown to the user.
At this point, Tuck is going to turn to Ordo and he's going to say, and correct me out of character if I'm wrong, Steph, but Tuck in character is going to say, mana points are great sources of power. We don't know how they occur or why. If they were trying to harness the power of the mana points, it's pretty unlikely that they would have been able to, knowingly make it more powerful since they're naturally occurring as far as we know.
Does this trigger anything for Wiggs?
You can give me a wisdom saving throw.
The
longest wisdom saving throw.
Listen, it was very hard to get the D20 already. A 7?
You get a headache.
I don't know.
You get a little headache for sure. And Professor Lanu goes, fantastic observations from everybody. You did very well in your detective work. I believe we've reached a point where I think we all have a very similar amount of knowledge, though perhaps different theories. And I'm glad you have done an exercise on it.
Annalisa does not look glad that they have done an exercise on it. She looks very upset. Him saying good observation to her earlier and again now means nothing in light of the jam incident. So she is going to go back to sulking in her corner.
Ordo kind of leans over to or I guess shifts over to, I don't know how big this card is, I don't know positioning and everything. Tries to ask Lanu Chillin a little more subtly if any actual jam was packed.
He goes, yes, there was.
Gotcha. Ordo, do you mind if I
Ordo could go searching
grab
for
some
it
of
for
it?
sure. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So upon that, Ordo goes ahead. What's a common thing that like the jam would be paired with?
Crackers or something like that. A
Just
ration.
crackers? Okay, so Ordo grabs his crackers and like some actual jam, and then like puts it on. I don't know. Puts it on some way to provide it to Annalisa, and
Like
just kind of like sets it down near her.
Yeah, you've got a plate in your mess kit. You could do that.
Cool. Yeah. Then he does that, and then sets it to her, and doesn't say anything. Just leaves it there for her.
Annalisa kind of ignores it at first. She's very angry at everything that's happening and not particularly receptive to kindness, I'll put it as. Like when you're mad,
Mhm.
it's
Oh
like
yeah.
someone else might be coming in, but like you just want to be mad. You don't want to feel better.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Totally.
I imagine if nothing else happens, like eventually she'll like take one and nibble on it, like I don't know, 30 minutes later or something.
Tuck is going to look at Annalisa quietly and be like, "Do you dare me to eat a whole tablespoon of the gross jam?"
Just
Annalisa actually goes, "You can do whatever you want."
kids
Well,
being kids.
he's going to look at her and say, "I want to be dared."
Then find someone to dare you.
I want to be dared by you.
Annalisa kind of like turns at him and gives him like an exasperated look, like she doesn't understand what he's doing, so she just finds it annoying. But she doesn't dare him. She's mad.
He rolls his eyes and goes, "You're such a killjoy."
She goes back to sulking.
Ordo. Sorry. Upon hearing
Yeah.
Killjoy, Ordo says, "I think she kills more than Joy." And then he like as he says it, he realizes how that comes off, and he's like, "I mean, like slimes," and just starts really like realizing he made an oopsie here.
Tuck
Yeah.
immediately starts snickering.
For sure.
Annalisa turns back and glares at Tucker. She's not mad at Ordo because, well,
He's Ordo.
he's Ordo, and also she's extra mad at Tucker for reasons he does not comprehend, I suppose.
He gives her a grin.
Her expression does not change.
Okay, so
Oh,
for
go on.
me,
Yeah.
I feel like Wiggs is going to be really protective over Annalisa.
Oh, okay.
Only because Wiggs strongly and wholeheartedly believes no one should have to endure the hardships she's been through, even though she has no idea what they are. and she knows this is like Annalisa's like first adventure off, and all she
Yeah.
knows is like she can't be traumatized.
Oh, that's so cute.
Okay.
I love this wholesome stream.
Wholesome stream of disgusting jam and wigs protecting Annalisa.
Don't worry,
But
chillin'
also-
on Tuckers.
What does she do to protect
chillin'.
her?
It hasn't really come up yet.
Yeah. It's gonna be in the future. It's gonna be like
All right.
we're gonna have a sacrifice by Wigs. Everyone's gonna be like, oh no. All right.
The dream was foreshadowing.
And then-
He does have new parents now.
It really is your parent now.
Look at me. Look at me. I'm the parent now.
No.
All right, you guys. The rest of the time kind of passes with some idle chatter here and there, and not before long it does become night. You guys are actually right at the bank of the river Philanthropy, which was named by one of the old ancestors of the Good Barrels, probably about 5-6 generations back, as they claimed this land for their own. The river Philanthropy is running very fluidly, of course. Professor Chillin has taken out a fishing rod to see if he can fish up anything just for fun. He doesn't know if there's fish here, or doesn't know, rather, shall I say, if there's fish here now. But he does know that fish do come up the stream every once in a while, and from the lake not too far away. But he's gonna go fishing for a little bit, and he goes, "We'll set up here for the night. If you have sleeping bags, take them out. If you've got tents, set them up. Prepare the way you want to, and I will prepare a small fire for dinner later."
Is there a place to wash up somewhere?
Oh, yes, of course. Just go a little downstream, and feel free to use the river.
Use the river?
Yes, if you need soap, I do have an extra few bars, though
Of kiwi soap.
of normal soap, or though I've refused to use the kiwi soap that has been given to me. It is
I
quite
understand.
pungent.
It's also probably very bad for your skin.
So is there like a hot spring or a enclosed bath area?
No.
I can heat up the water in the river.
I don't know if you'd be able to heat up
Sounds
flowing
dangerous.
water so well. You do see that the water, while not rapid, is definitely flowing. So, like, if you heat up one piece of water, it'd definitely be flowing down the river, if that makes sense.
So it'd be useless.
Yeah.
Wait. So how am I supposed to bathe?
Oh, yes. Give me 1 second. Lanu goes back to the carriage, and he brings out a loofah, a piece of soap, and and then he goes, "I believe your parents said you had a purse of holding, which you might be able to store your clothing in. Feel free to put the soap on the loofah and scrub your body while you are in the river."
Wait, you expect me to just derobe and in the middle of the wilderness without just me alone? And what?
I like to imagine at this point Tuck has just completely buck naked, cannonballed into the river.
He hasn't, but that he roped, he started cracking up.
Professor Lana goes, "If you find comfort in bringing wigs with you, perhaps you could have a sentry there, but yes."
I don't know if I feel comfortable with more people being around.
I see. Yes,
I-
there are many cultures in which public bathing is a thing, though it seems halfling culture does not have such a thing. Yes, it might be scary on your first time, but I do expect you to either use the river or perhaps forego bathing until we find a shower.
Are you serious?
Ordo just chuckles.
Yes,
himself.
but I'm also Professor Lanu Chillin.
Ordo stops chuckling.
Annalisa just looks at the professor and at Ordo, who was chuckling, and at Tuck, who is still chuckling, and
Tuck is losing his mind in laughter.
Wigs?
I'm just standing there.
Not moving at all. Just
Menacingly!
and then
T-posed.
and she looks at Wiggs, and she looks at everyone, just kind of laughing at her, and she just sort of rips everything. She sort of just like rips the loofah and the soap from Lanu's hands and like grabs her bag of holding, and she just like marches down the river.
So you march,
Ordo.
you
Go,
march
go, sorry.
downstream to get to your bathing spot. I don't know how far you go, but you do hear Ordo kind of call out, "Be sure to be within earshot.
Whoa.
If
Hey,
Ordo
no
doesn't
god
say that.
lying.
if anything happens, you want to yell at us."
I think he meant Lanu.
Yeah, no, he definitely meant Lanu.
Did I say
You said
Ordo?
Ordo.
Shit, I meant Lanu. Yes, I meant Lanu.
Like,
Yes.
I guess Ordo says this. I don't know. I mean,
No. Sorry, I completely meant Lanu.
oh, you're good.
100%.
You're good.
But then
And-
Ordo says, "No, I'm kidding."
Ordo, upon seeing like Annalisa get that upset, he does immediately like kind of look down and like feels a little upset with his actions. And then, but he doesn't want to follow Annalisa because he knows that she's trying to bathe and he doesn't want to be weird about that. but he is like concerned.
Mm.
I'll say while bathing, Annalisa pulls out the cloak of like 4% invisibility, and even if it doesn't help, it just feels a little bit better.
Sure.
Like she can pretend that she has something on her.
Sure.
Mental blanket.
Oh, it's
And
gonna be a wet
she
blanket.
doesn't, like-
yeah.
And she doesn't like fully submerge. She kind of like dips an ankle in and kind of like brings the water up. Like she's not going swimming in that thing.
You can use a
Like
bucket. Yeah, you can use
there's
a
like
bucket or a
fish in there.
Yeah.
Like what the hell? There's like fish and mud and is that a stick floating by? Like God.
Heathens bathe like this. Why should you?
Exactly, Steph. It's terrifying and awful and gross.
What's everyone else doing? Annalisa's going to bathe her ankles in the river. What are you guys doing?
Ordo's gonna go try to forage for some
Survival roll,
maybe
baby.
some fruits. Yeah, absolutely. He just doesn't want to get stuck eating meat.
Yeah.
Survival. Where? Oh, okay. Oh, 9.
Well, I'll say this. While you are far from the Good Barrel property, it looks like some of the grapes have started growing here as well. So you find some grapes.
Okay.
Due to the inability to completely tame the wilderness, obviously, and the loss of property and etc. Like some grapes have definitely spread out through this. So you find like a few grapevines. You take down a few bushels, shall we say, or
Okay.
bunches. What about Wiggs?
Wiggs isn't really doing anything. I think she's just observing everyone.
What about Tucker?
So Tucker knows that their new box can send out letters anywhere now, right?
Yes.
All right, so Tuck is going to go to the box and he is going to take out a short and brief little letter that he wrote to his mom that doesn't really elaborate what he's really doing, but just kind of say, you know, that he's fine, they're in Vine Grove, Banu's okay, like just a brief update that he isn't dead or anything. And he's going to take the pin that he commissioned from Vine Grove and the letter and put it in the box to send to her.
Oh. As you do that, Professor Lanu kind of stops you real quick and goes, "Let me recalibrate it real quick." I know he knows what you're doing. Yeah, you probably sent a letter to him many times before.
Yeah.
And he kind of what he does is he calibrates it to essentially send to a post office within the Republic City, or not a post office, but like a message area that would have a magical device. Your mom does not have this magical device herself.
Yeah.
So it will be sent, and Professor Lanu sends his own like credentials or like his own signature with it and say, "Hey, send to so and so this address," kind of deal.
Yeah.
And you gotta put it through, and as you open the box, there's nothing there. It's gone.
He's gonna look at Lanu and say, "Thanks, Professor."
He gives you a pat on the back, and he goes, "You are most welcome." And you guys spend your first night outdoors together. Kind of. I would say definitely a very new experience for our young Good Barrel, but kind of just doing the normal.
She hates it.
You guys sit around, and there is vegetarian food prepared for Ordo. It's breads and cheeses, etc. but
Ooh.
Professor Lanu had caught a couple of fish and is offering fish to anyone who does want it. But I will say this, at least you saw him prepare the fish. He was scaling it with his own hands, essentially. Like usually you use a scaler, and then he washed it in the river, and then he like completely took it apart, like normal filleting thing would do, and just put it on a stick and then over a fire. It wasn't. It didn't have a proper thermometer, no thyme, no garlic, no rosemary put on it. Like it was just put over the fire.
This is far too dubious. Like, she's not sure about this, guys. This doesn't seem up to her standards.
This isn't OSHA approved.
This isn't good
But it is
barrel
ocean approved.
cuisine.
Tuck is wolfing his down.
Hell yeah, Tuck. And he goes, Wiggs, would you like a fish?
Wigs.
Wiggs.
Hello?
Oh, sorry, repeat that one more time.
He goes, Wiggs, would you like a fish?
I'll take a fish.
And last but not least, he points to Annalisa, would you like a fish?
She kind of stares at it and she goes, I'm not hungry.
Okay. And he takes the fish and he just kind of chomps on into it himself.
Annalisa kind of like winces.
As Tucker next to him chomps on in and Wiggs across chomps on in. And there are like crackers and cheeses and stuff if you want to take that the good barrels are set alongside of you. But I will say, you've looked at the box of supplies. It is surprisingly a low amount of supplies for what you imagine would be a very long trip.
Oh lord.
It doesn't matter. She eats the cheese and crackers.
You guys have a pretty simple dinner before setting off to bed with a rotation Lanu has given to everybody so that everyone could get some sleep and they could also have someone at watch at all times. It doesn't really matter what the rotation is. The night kind of passes on with ease.
Annalisa
Say again?
I was just going to say, Annalisa does not sleep well. Or much at all.
Can Tuck do something in the night during his rotation?
Oh, poor Annalisa. Sure, go ahead.
Well, like I said, she's not sleeping very well, so...
Tuck would like to try and steal one of her handkerchiefs.
I believe that would be in her purse of holding. Am I not correct, Annalisa?
Yeah, which I assume would be probably next to her somewhere.
You're going to have to give me one hell of a stealth roll, Tuck.
All
Not
right.
like the ones you gave me.
All right. Nerve-wracking, but this is what we're gonna do. Oh god, I don't know which dice to use. Okay.
None of them are
D20
trustworthy.
typically.
Oh, this is good. 19.
Annalisa, perception roll.
Oh.
It's not my greatest, to be honest.
Ooh.
Yeah, that doesn't make it. That's a 6.
So I'll say it like
no.
this: it's Annalisa, you have the bag next to you, but you kind of turned away in your tumbles and your discomfort and sleeping. You now make a sleight of hand roll, Tucker, to see if you can take a single handkerchief from her.
Oh god. Okay. Sleight of hand, you said?
Yep. And because of your successful stealth roll, I will give you advantage.
Advantage, okay. That was good because the first one was an 8, but I rolled a natural 14 plus 4, so 18.
You kind of slip your hand in just really quickly. You're not sure what you're grabbing. Yeah, if you had rolled low, I would have made you grab something that Annalisa would have been pissed off at you, like sincerely pissed off at you. But you grab the handkerchief and you pull it on out, and you now have one of Annalisa's handkerchiefs.
What does her handkerchief look like?
It's probably like pink with kind of like lace detailing around it.
Is there anything on it?
I'd say probably not.
Tucker is going to spend part of his shift using his embroidery kit or not an embroidery kit, his sewing kit to embroider her name onto her handkerchief.
Oh, that's so much sweeter than I was expecting.
Yeah.
I thought you were like Tuck was here.
I was just gonna be like, take all her handkerchief. She has none now.
And he wants to add like a little bit of like lightning and fire details around her name.
She's making this you're making this the hot rod of handkerchiefs.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, okay. You do that, and I'll say this, to prevent us from rolling again, you sneak it back inside when you're done with it.
Yeah.
You do that.
Yeah, that's all.
The next day rolls around, and Professor Lana tells everyone right up at noon, right up at dawn to start. Everyone, let's get ready. We shouldn't be too far from Kromble. We should make it there soon, if the roads are nice with us.
Tuck is once again exhausted.
Is there any reason why the roads wouldn't be nice?
He goes, well, we will be doing a little bit of off-roading, so yes.
Annalisa, who already looked tired, looks even more tired at this.
He goes, unfortunately, the city of Kromble used to have two roads, one entering from the east and one entering from the west. During the Clemening, the one to the west seemed to have fallen in such disrepair it was no longer usable, but it is still a road, and we will be traveling by it. Though, it is probably not safe for the wagon. We will persevere.
So wait, are you saying that we're going on foot?
No, we'll go with the wagon.
Can I drive?
Be my guest.
Tuck very eagerly takes the reins because he's into off-roading.
Oh no.
Or the idea of it.
Oh
After
no!
you just did a hot rod design.
Arthur just kind of like tightens his grip on his seat a little bit, and sorry.
You guys make your way towards there, and it's not long. It's not much long later. Probably about half a day's passed. You guys have only stopped for necessary restroom breaks, of course, which I'm not sure how Annalisa feels about that. And
Bad. I'll just tell you straight up, bad.
And of course, you guys kind of ate on the road rather than stopping for lunch. Using the I'm about to sneeze. Give me 1 second. Alright, I'm good. Using the I forgot the word. I forgot what I was saying. Yes, using the wagon as a dinner plate? No, I don't remember. Anyways, you just eat in the wagon. That's the rules. That's what's happening.
Okay.
you eat in the wagon. You went through fantasy McDonald's. You got fantasy drive-through. Essentially, no.
That sounds real good right now.
Annalisa reaches into her bag to like wipe her mouth with her handkerchief.
How many handkerchiefs do you have? Because you gotta roll
Knowing
for it.
her, it's probably like at least 5, maybe more, maybe 10.
Oh my goodness.
Give me maybe 10.
Maybe 10.
All right, let's go with 10. I have a number in which will be the embroidered one. Roll a d10.
Okay. 9.
You took out an unembroidered one, so it's just a normal one. You took out one that's like one of your favorites, or one of your they're all your favorites. You brought them with you, so you took out one.
I think you underestimate how much stuff she put into that.
That's exactly why I made you roll for it.
It's her 10 favorites among her hundreds.
And not much longer later, you guys, probably around 1 or 2 o'clock, you in the distance see a small city, or what seems to have been a city. As you kind of look at the side, as you kind of look out there, you're entering through north, south, east, west. You're entering in through the west, and the west side of the area actually looks kind of not broken, but most certainly roughed up. As you kind of look there, you see a roughened wall that's been kind of made in haste around certain access points and certain roads, etc. And you see on side of the wall, on the outside of the wall, there are littered bodies and bodies of human-sized dolls made of clay and hay that kind of have weaponry and sticks and traps set up through their body. Half of them are broken and in crumbles, and half of them are just kind
In crumbles.
in crumbles. Yes, half of them are just kind of laying onto the fences, and some of them look like they were half crawling through the area. And you see these bodies actually quite a ways out as well. As you kind of start going around, Professor Lanu actually goes up to the front, and he goes, Tucker, there will be quite a few bodies. Be wary of those. Do not drive over them.
Tucker is like grimacing because that's creepy as hell, human-sized dolls.
Yeah.
And he's just like, you don't got to tell me twice, Professor.
And like there are dozens of dolls on the way there that seem to have been shot down with arrows or perhaps burned and broken in half. To give you a better image of these dolls, essentially what they are is they're clay platings. There's like a clay chest plate, clay arms, etc. But instead of having a connected joint, it's just hay going through the area. So all this hay seems to be what controls the dolls, acting as muscle and tendon, while the clay itself seems to be the hardened exterior of the doll, even though it seems to have no joint issues. So like you'll see, like obviously cut at the joint, the hay's just cut at the joint, that kind of deal. But as you kind of go there, the wagon kind of stops, and the donkeys definitely you do see the donkeys feel uneasy there for sure. Their ears are back. They're not exactly happy to be here. But you guys can't really enter the city as you enter through the west. As you come in through the west, on the map you're going to see that there is an eastern road. You guys are coming into that western area that seems like it should have a road but doesn't. On that area, you do clearly see that there is a wall built out of furniture and spikes and stuff that has all these bodies on it. You guys clearly cannot bring the wagon into the town from this area, but you should be able to access the town via foot by climbing over the wall, going around it. And Professor Lanu definitely looks a little worried as he sees there, and he gets up and he walks out of the cart. What do you guys do?
So on the road, and Lisa was kind of like looking at these dolls because like she kind of knew of them because obviously they're tied into her own town's history. She knows that her grandmother fought against them.
Mm-hmm.
So there's kind of like a solemn sense there, and she feels like a sense of like, I guess kind of like a weight on her, or not a weight on her shoulders. Well, yeah, weight on her shoulders is sort of like responsibility, I guess, of what her family has done against these things in the past. And when Lanu steps out, so does she.
I think Ordo would follow suit as well.
Tuck will also follow, and he's going to make sure to stay kind of close to Lanu, maybe even a little closer than he usually would be.
I'm gonna be stepping out as well.
Cool. You guys exit the cart, and around you obviously seems to be the pretenses or the aftermath of what was a massive battle for the city. These bodies strewn around the area. The good news is you don't see human corpses or halfling corpses or elf corpses, but most of these corpses seem to be that of dolls, which you find to be both probably comforting and a little weird, as it seems to be that something was obviously attacking these dolls. Professor Lanu goes, "We will put the donkeys or the mules in on a post here so they don't run away. It is probably unnerving for them, but our job is to explore these town. If anybody has any discomforts, I highly recommend you get over them soon."
Yeah, sounds about right. Sounds about Lonnie.
Professor Lanu goes, I do recommend obviously staying in a group, no less than 3, though I would recommend, until we know the area is safe, to always be within eyeshot of each other.
Is there anything in particular that we're looking for, or are we just, exploring?
Professor Lanu goes, this town has not been touched in 74, 73 years because it was formerly active with many dolls, and the Republic did not want to risk anybody for a retrieval mission. As such, we will be the first people to be entering this town since its evacuation.
So, so these bodies of these dolls have been here for 70 years.
Some perhaps, some more, some less. We are not
Well,
sure.
if they're dead and this place was evacuated 70ish years ago, or was it evacuated
It was
like
evacuated after the first wave. They were
so
unable
that no
to. They did not know of the initial attack. So when the initial attack
okay
occurred, they evacuated after that.
okay so oh okay
Can I pick up one of the dolls?
oh
You can pick
God
up part of it, yeah.
oh like
Can I roll Arcana to see if I recognize anything?
Sure, give me an Arcana roll.
17.
As you kind of go to one of these dolls, you actually just kind of like almost dissect it in a way. You kind of look at for a doll that's pretty clearly broken. As Lanu goes to pitch a pole in to start tying the mules to. Each one has its own, and then has a little feeder next to it, kind of deal. He takes really good care of the mules, obviously. But you kind of look around, and as you kind of look at the dolls, you kind of see this one has like a broken chest plate, and you kind of like open the chest plate. I don't think you have really an issue of touching things. It doesn't feel like Wiggs does. You kind of open the chest plate and see that once again there's just hay and straw stuck inside of there, and you kind of move the hay and straw around and eventually like dissect and take it all out. And you do see that there are some some runes actually like in the actual doll itself, but they aren't physically carved in. They're almost like magic tattoos in the similar way that your new Newt friend is. Um, but as you kind of look at them, you do realize that this is like an animation spell. Very clearly that this doll had been animated for some time, and whatever magic was in it was certainly powerful because in your immediate theory, probably all these dolls have something like that.
Interesting. I'm gonna keep it with me.
But you're gonna take the chest. You're gonna take the clay chest plate.
Yes.
Sure. It's about the size of your chest.
Oh
So
shoot.
it,
All right.
no, what I'm saying is it's actually the size of a human. So like it's the size of your chest too. It's not the small thing. It's like the size of a human.
Still gonna take it.
Okay. You taking a clay chest piece, or the back of one, shall I say? You kind of just threw off the front part, which seemed to be empty. You kind of took the back of one, as you now have a clay chest doll piece. Professor Lanu sets up the poles with relative ease. He's done this plenty of times, and the wheels are now tied to him safely and securely. The wagon has basically been put on the emergency brakes. Tucker, you've probably helped out with that. And Professor Lanu goes, "Are you ready to enter the town?"
Tuck is going to glance around and he is going to look at Annalisa and he's going to say, "What do you know about this town before the evacuation? What was it?"
Can I do a history
Go
check?
for it.
That's a 12.
You know that Kromble was a neighbor for sure and had bought quite a bit from the good barrels, but you're not sure what happened during the attack. Your family was already busy with it, obviously. But you're aware that there had been some refugees from Kromble, but they had quickly moved on to other areas, and they didn't stay long.
Okay, so they did trade, you said?
They did trade, yeah.
Yeah, okay, she's gonna say, back 70 years ago, they were sort of a trade partner with Vine Grove. I don't know much about what became of most of the people after the attack. I am aware that there were some escapees. They did not have good barrel protection here, so I don't think they fared quite as well as us and had to evacuate.
What did you guys trade with each other?
You traded them wine and alcohol, etc., and they likely traded more industrial products. So they traded a lot more things like weaponry, tools, etc.
She says that.
Tuck is going to scratch his cheek and he's going to say, "So it's pretty likely that this town might have a lot of blacksmiths and means to process ore and stuff like that."
Perhaps.
Professor Lana goes. Professor Lana goes. He's actually going to say perhaps too. So I'll say you both say perhaps at the same time.
Annalisa looks at Lanu and then she realizes that she was talking to Tuck, which she didn't realize because she was feeling unnerved, and then she turns away in a huff.
Professor Lanus started walking towards a side alley in the. So if you're looking at the map, Professor Lanus is walking towards that first side alley on the top. It's very small, but it seems to have a weaker protection, and the main road seems to have a really big blockade, and he doesn't obviously want to mess with that. But on that first building on the top right, he sees that there's a weaker fencing there. He starts walking over that area and immediately kind of just starts pulling the dolls off the defense there and starts to also take apart the makeshift fence there. And he starts walking into the alley and into the city. What do you guys do? I will say this also. Lanu is still on his cane. He still has a very thick cane that he's walking with.
Yeah, Tuck is like kind of freaking out that he's wandering off on his own and doing physical work. He's low-key sort of been hovering around him, which is why he's been staying so close. So Tuck is immediately going to hurry after him, but as he does, can he see, given where the barricades are, can he see in which direction the dolls came in to invade?
So very clearly there was a section here that came into invade from the west.
From the west.
But you have not seen the east side yet, so you're not sure if they've invaded from the east side. But very clearly, like, there's barricades on the west, which means they've probably come from the west.
As we were riding up here on the path, was there any indication that there were dolls or any kind of invasion force coming from the path that we took?
Not like it took the path itself, but rather that the path happened to be there. Like, they weren't on the path itself, but they just came from the west.
Okay, so they came from the west. Okay, Tuck is going to fluster after Lanu, kind of like a mother hen, and be like, "Hey, Professor, wait up!"
Not to be outdone or overshadowed, Annalisa quickly rushes after.
The children!
It's like that mama duck leading all the small little baby ducks. And one giant baby duck.
I will say Ordo would like to bring like be the caboose
Mm-hmm.
and kind of be the one that I'm not hanging like far in the back. I just want to be like kind of like the protector of
Yeah.
the protector of the behind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. And Elisa, Landu, and yeah, yeah, they got the front and you got the behind. You're watching everyone six. I got you.
Hmm.
So I'm assuming you just kind of moved wigs in front of you, kind of deal. Yeah.
That works.
More or less. Maybe like I could see possibly like sharing like the same general like spot with wigs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I mainly want to be able to keep an eye on everybody else.
Sure, sure, sure. As you guys walk into the road, as you guys walk through the roads, you see that you have entered the residential district. On the edge of that residential, ugh. I'm gonna take a deep breath, take a big jig swig of water.
Big swig of water.
Because I'm about to go exposition mode,
Oh
and
no.
I don't want to mess that up or give any, you know how it goes.
Yeah. Oh, we know.
As you guys enter through the west side of the town, you realize that you are in the residential district. The residential district lies destroyed and damaged. Many of the gaps in the alleyways and small roads are barred off with furniture and makeshift walls, as you had just gone through yourself. Dozens of dolls just seem to lie there, broken, disheveled, and with many weapons both sticking out of them and seeming to have been dropped. It doesn't look like the dolls have ever used the weapons themselves, but rather overwhelming forces forced a retreat of some sort. As you kind of look around, you also see that there are several weird effigies of doll bodies, as if in an attempt to ward, make and scare the dolls away in these different areas, or perhaps even make the dolls think that there were already dolls here, not to come. And you clearly see that these have failed. As you look through these little buildings on the outskirts, you clearly see that there are damaged windows, damaged doors, damaged internals of the buildings themselves, where unfortunately you do start to see a few bodies of humans, etc. It's not long. It's not long. It's not much longer later that you guys eventually reach the square plaza in between a few of the buildings. And while you are there, you see a mess of, once again, dolls and weaponry and makeshift barricades. But the good news is, towards the far end of the side, towards what seems to be more concentrated, there seems to be a lot less damage than originally anticipated. But you do see quite a bit of dolls here, and you guys are now in that square area. Lanus seems to be heading towards the center of town, so he's continue going forward. He's giving a cursory observation around. He doesn't seem to be stopping too much for anything. But while you guys are in this plaza, you now have a few moments to kind of take a look around and see, as Professor Lanu is also doing that as well. He seems to be going and examining the houses first. What do you guys want to do?
Can Annalisa look around and check out what are the nearby buildings? Like,
Sure.
what do they look like?
Give me a perception roll.
That's a 16 minus 1, 15.
As you look around, you see that these are primarily residential buildings around you. A few shops here and there. You see one was likely a bakery from what the sign says on the outside. A few were likely little shops, but it's definitely residential.
She wants to check out a shop.
All right. As you walk into the bakery previously mentioned before,
Not the bakery, the shop.
Okay, sure. I mean, it's like general. It's
I
not like
assume there's. Well,
sure.
I just assume that there's no good bread in the bakery.
Yeah. You walk into the shop. You walk into the shop and you see the shop is surprisingly devoid of supplies. As you would imagine, the shop would probably have some. The shop does not have any supplies. It looks like it had been emptied out for some reason. Your best guess is for the evacuation, but you're not sure.
Is there like anything around?
Inconsequential wares, forks, knives, plates, cups, etc. But useful things like potions and whatnot, no, for sure, no. Not in that shop, at least.
Is there anything like pretty or decorative?
You know what? Let me roll. It might not be in your taste, but there seems to be like a nice little painting, like a small little painting, I guess more like an icon. Like like the Christian icons? Something akin to that. Yeah, but for like their god. It could be fucking
I'm just looking. I have like so much cloak to pay off stuff.
Yeah, I'm aware. I'm aware. But there's a nice icon there for sure that perhaps you can sell to religious types.
Does it look nicer than it looks old?
Your best guessing is that because it is like a wooden icon.
I'm asking if Annalisa would find it worth to touch it, or if it's icky.
It's not icky, so you assume that it is somewhat blessed. But it's definitely like, let me put it like this: it's probably not Annalisa's style, but I think Annalisa would recognize that it's probably of artistic value to someone. Let me put it like that.
Okay, I guess she takes the, what do I call it, icon painting?
Yeah, it's an icon. An icon of Neslin.
Neslin. Who's Neslin?
He's the god of communication. What about everyone else? What are you guys doing while you're in the square?
I'm really not sure.
Tucker is going to investigate for any kind of thieves' cant or messages of that sort.
Roll for it.
Investigation, I'm assuming.
100%, yeah.
That's sad. That's a 6.
There's thieves' cant, for sure. A lot of it seems to be scrawled on last-minute thieves' cant. And it kind of marks, you see that like some of them used to have like the safe house mark, and it's kind of scratched out now, you know what I'm saying? So as you kind of look around, you realize that they probably switched the thieves, or any ones from the Thieves Guild back in the day, which was basically an open secret, essentially, was marking things down for safe houses, for storage areas, etc., but like it was obviously cut short or changed very rapidly. So it looks like there's probably a safe house somewhere around here, as there's more thieves cats, but it's just so rapidly fast changing. Like, you're probably sure that a lot of it was done by word of mouth and just quick sketches of just carving.
Yeah, so a lot of like sketches, then crossed out, then changed, then crossed out, and you can't really follow it.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. Order
Is there?
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Ordo and Wix can go first if they would like to.
Ordo's just kind of like uncomfortable with the area. He mostly wants to keep an eye on his friends. So if anybody seems like they were venturing off too far, he probably would have tagged along with them. Or if somebody was like specifically getting very out of sight,
sure,
he would probably have gone along with them.
The only person really getting out of sight was Annalisa when she went into the shop. So maybe you're just hanging on the outside of the shop, essentially.
No, he would have gone in, I think, in that case.
Okay.
I guess I'll. I don't know, man. I don't know what to do.
I mean, I
That's
can
fair.
show Ordo the icon and get his feedback on it.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah. Religion
Yep.
check.
Religion check.
Okay, cool. I don't know why I said that like it was a question. It's a religious idol. Like, of course, it's a religion check. Come on. 8.
8?
Mm-hmm.
You've never really dealt with Neslin. You're obviously aware that it is Neslin, and you're aware that this is somewhat blessed because it has not been defiled over the past 7 years. But that's really all you know about it.
Can I do detect magic ritual on it?
It's just I'll put it like this: you're aware it's a bear base blessing, just to make sure it doesn't decay.
Gotcha.
it's not like it's blessed to the degree that gives you like holy magic damage or something.
Okay.
It's no holy symbol, just meant to last.
Gotcha. It seems like this is just a very standard religious symbol of Neslin, but it doesn't seem to be much more than that.
Hmm. Well, it seems a shame to leave it here. And she puts it into her purse of holding.
I'm sure Neslin would be very proud of you. I don't know. I got no. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fair. Fair.
No, I thought Steph was about to speak.
Wiggs, what do you got?
Was there anything in the center of the town square?
As you're looking at the center of the town square, you you could give me an investigation or a perception roll. Up to you.
I'll do a perception roll.
Go for it.
I'm probably not perceiving much. 12.
This isn't a hard thing to find. As you kind of look through the area and the rubble, you kind of go to where the most bodies are concentrated. And I think what you're doing is you're actually looking through the body specifically. That's what seem to be interested in doing. You have the chest itself. In one body, you find this to be very weird as you kind of look through it. It kind of catches your eye. One of the body around the joints seems to shine a little bit, and you're not sure. You like you swear that as you look at the hay, it just seemed to like shine for a second.
I'm gonna grab it.
You go down and you grab the hay, and inside you feel a very thin, almost sharp piece of metal for a second. It doesn't hurt you or nothing, but you do feel this piece of metal. You're not sure if it's like a tripwire or something, but like you recognize there's metal in there, unlike the ones you saw before.
I'm gonna put down my old chess piece and take this one.
I'm saying you haven't dissected this thing yet, so you don't know what's actually in it. But like, are you gonna dissect it and do it first, or no? Or you should take the whole body.
I'm gonna take the whole body and just kind of throw it over my shoulder.
As you try to take the whole the body crumbles around you. Because there's no magic holding everything together. Sure, the hay was there as to act like muscles, but like in reality, it doesn't hold together very well without magic. So it kind of crumbles back as you kind of just like have an arm in your hand now.
Is there still the shiny metal piece?
The shiny metal piece actually seems to lie a lot more flat now, and as you kind of get the chance to look at it better, you see it as a thin sheet of copper.
I'm gonna take the copper.
You take the copper.
And that's all I'm really gonna do.
Okay.
Ordo actually, Ordo is curious about something.
Yeah.
And actually, I guess Neville's also curious about this.
Okay.
Hay would decompose, right?
Yes.
And the idea is that these bodies haven't or have been here roughly 70 years, possibly.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think I need
Steph
to make a
sounds
nature
way
check to
too
know.
excited about that.
I don't think I need to make a nature check to know that that's not right.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Yeah.
I guess as Ordo finishes up with or as Ordo and Elisa finish up in the shop, I guess he would approach Lanu and bring that up, Professor. Isn't it a little strange that the hay of these bodies has not decayed yet, if these bodies have been here for as long as we think they have?
He goes, I agree, Ordo. Very perceptive. I would imagine the magic within the dolls running out perhaps a year ago when Clem was defeated, though even then I'd imagine the hay would have degraded since then. So I could excuse part of it with Clem's magic, though the current state, Clem having been defeated a year ago, I'm quite astounded myself.
Don't you? I mean, I feel like something has been here more recently than we think. I very, very strongly feel that something or someone or multiple somethings and or someones have been here much more recently. Something just doesn't sit right with me.
I suggest we go with that theory. Perhaps
Mm.
something has. It is best to be overcautious than it is to be reckless, is it not?
I would agree with that. I absolutely agree with that.
He goes, yes, I would recommend proceeding with these same thoughts. Should there be anything weird or dangerous, then, well, I would assume everyone would still be within eye shot of one another, so I believe we should be okay to handle it.
Okay. Ordo is definitely overcome with a sense of almost anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
and he draws his warhammer, but not as if he's going to use it right away. Just clearly a, I'm ready for
Action.
anything.
Yeah. Odo's ready to murder. No, he doesn't murder.
Ordo's ready to protect,
Yeah, Odo's ready to protect. You guys do
with maybe a little bit of murder.
maybe a little bit of murder. You guys do a quick sweep of this area, and Professor Lanu kind of goes, "Okay, I will be making my way towards the main road. There are still plenty of residences that seem to have been untouched. I would recommend staying together, but of course, should either anyone wish to investigate the residences while I investigate the main road, this is acceptable."
I'll
Professor
stick with you,
Lanu
Professor.
Professor Lanu obviously seems very confident in his capabilities, and you've definitely seen him kick some ass with some magic before. So, but with his new cane, you're probably a little bit worried about him, Tucker.
Yeah, Tuck is gonna be like, I'll stick with you, Professor.
Annalisa sees that Tucker and Lanu are going to the main road, and she's like, I'll continue investigating around here.
I'm gonna follow Annalisa.
No, what? Oh God! All right, you know what? Ordo is gonna he's gonna grab a coin real quick.
Dordo doesn't know which one of his kids to pick. Who do you love more, Ordo?
Whoa, hey, hold on. Well, the coin said Annalisa, so Ordo is going to go with Annalisa. He does before parting ways, I guess, with Lanu and Tuck. Ordo just please, you two, if there's anything at all that happens, please don't hesitate to call for help.
Tuck is going to look at Ordo and he's gonna be like, don't worry, we've been doing this for years now.
Lanu gives a thumbs up, and he kind of goes, "Oh, of course, that is what I've been recommending. Let's stay within earshot, and every 5 or 10 minutes, at least it's perhaps not 5. We don't want to give our position away in case there is anything here. He goes, perhaps in 30 minutes we meet at the main road. How does that sound?
That works for me.
As you guys separate, we're gonna go quickly with Annalisa and everyone else for that group real quick. So if you need to get some water, Noel, get some water.
Hell yeah.
So Annalisa turns to Ordo and Wiggs, and she sort of puts her hands on her hips, and she's like, "Well, if you must hug something, please get it out of the way now."
Um,
There's dolls.
Ordo, okay, no. Ordo actually, for the first time so far, looks actually kind of offended. And no, that's all right. With like a very defeated tone.
Annalisa looks at Wiggs.
Is there a doll near me?
Yes, you are carrying
I'm
part
gonna
of
hug
the
it.
doll. Okay,
Ordo
you hug
moves
a doll.
away from Wiggs. Just like
Annalisa
a
just
little
like
chuckle.
shoots him a look like, you're in the same boat. Don't try and pretend you're not.
Ordo doesn't respond.
Yeah, she doesn't say that. It's just
Yeah, Ordo does not react. He just
And-
continues looking down.
Annalisa impatiently waits for Wiggs to be done with her hug.
I'm done with the hug now. We can carry on.
Alright then. Well, our goal is to find something fascinating and interesting before the other two do. So, you there, No, wait. Are
You're
your
human
ears
now.
different?
Wait, repeat that?
She looks at you, Wiggs, and she's like, "Are your ears different?"
Nope.
Annalisa looks at Ordo like, was she crazy? Like, am I crazy?
Ordo just kind of gives a shrug, kind of just a defeated shrug. Clearly, still slightly upset with some words that have been spoken.
Oh, how dare she imply he wants to hug something?
Look, it's not what you say; it's the way you say it. Okay. And then actually, he says that and then looks her in the eyes and just says, "Little one."
Annalisa kind of gets her hackles up. It's like, well then, big one, I suppose I shall watch my language around you. And she turns to Wiggs and is like, you then human girl? Do you sense anything magical in this vicinity that would be so cool that Tucker and Professor Chillin would be impressed?
I mean, beyond that, the fact that there's runes tattooed inside the bodies of these dolls. No.
There's runes inside of them?
Well, like my newt that I have, it's like that, but inside the dolls. But not a newt.
Annalisa wants to crack open a doll to look at it.
Annalisa, you crack open a doll and you kind of scourge out the body, and you do see there are like tattooed runes, especially inside of the chest piece. Which kind of makes sense of now why she's carrying a chest piece.
She goes, "What does it say?"
Can I roll for that?
It's an animation spell.
It's some form of animation spell.
Oh, I suppose that makes sense. Although, Steph, did you say it's glowing?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's most certainly, let me put it like this, with magical influences gone, it should be gone, but it's definitely faded.
Well, if it's faded but not gone.
Exactly. Yes.
Which is
Is-
probably why the hay isn't decomposed.
Is Ordo able to like piece that together?
I'm pretty sure Wig said that in character at that point.
Yes. I
Oh,
think
is
everyone
Ordo
was
able to
pretty off
understand that?
put on the hay.
Yeah. Okay. Um. Hmm.
All right, well, I suppose we might as well start investigating some of these buildings. After me, then. And Annalisa chooses a random building and goes to go enter it.
You guys walk a little east to that long triangular building in the middle of the town. It seems to be the most well-kept building. It seems to have the least amount of damage in its entirety. As you guys look around the building itself, it seems to be evacuated peacefully, is I guess the best word. Everything seems to be neatly put away almost. It seems to be eerily so. Like, once again, there doesn't seem to be any damage to the outside of the building, nor even the inside. Windows seem to be perfectly intact. But there's obviously signs of evacuation, though. What do you guys want to do while you're in this building?
Look around for anything interesting, I guess, or anything nice and fleshy.
Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, an investigation roll.
Right? Ooh. That's an 18.
You kind of look around, and I will say this: you find about 25 gold pieces worth of like change and jewelry, etc. Nothing like actual gold pieces, but like you find some like you do find like 25 gold pieces worth of like jewelry and stuff.
I'm gonna do detect magic on the building to see if there's like this is an illusion or something.
All right. You cast a spell detect magic on the building. The building itself is not illused. But you do get traces of magic from somewhere in the town. It's out of your 30-foot range, but you do know there is something magical within the town itself.
Does it give me a direction like north, south, east, west?
You are in the middle of town right now. I would say kind of points you a little south, but I would also say you do feel a strain of that magic actually in the copper thread you have currently on your person.
Oh.
Does Wiggs
Hmm.
share that she feels any magic for in any direction or anything?
I think I don't think Wiggs is gonna say anything.
Yeah, that's what I thought was gonna happen. Wiggs, you kind of know this information. You know that the thread in your hand, while not in every body, and certainly only in one body you found so far, has some form of magic on it. And I will say, once again, it's animation magic. You don't think it's the same source. I will say that from the runes on inside the body. As you look around, Ordo, what are you doing?
I guess Ordo is just trying to keep his eye out or nose out for anything suspicious.
Give me a
Like I
perception
said,
roll.
he's just very on edge this entire time.
Sure. Give me a perception roll.
Are they smells? Because I get advantage on that.
Smell would not help you here, buddy. Sorry.
Cool. Well then, I didn't do that. So dirty 20.
Nice. Okay, so you kind of look around, and I think what kind of glares at you the most is how orderly the evacuation was. Obviously, this place had not been. I think it brings you a level of comfort. This place had enough time to do an orderly evacuation to get enough people out of here. So while the first wave definitely looked like chaos, or at least the outside looked like chaos, the inside looked relatively calm. So I think you find a level of comfort in that. But at the same time, I feel like you also find that because of this level of calmness, probably a lot of things are taken out. You do find some things like a portrait of the family here kind of there, or some journals. You're free to look into them if you want to, but I'm not sure if Order would consider that like an invasion of privacy.
He. I feel like normally Ordo would,
Mhm.
but with the uh, for lack of a better term, like the nature of things here, like with how many dead doll bodies there are and whatnot.
Yeah.
He's very curious to learn more about the place, so he'd probably crack open one of those journals. He would I will say he would probably skim unless he saw something mentioning things that would pertain to that situation. He wouldn't like read through people's like,
Personal lives.
oh,
Yeah.
today Billy Joe talked to me. Like, no, like he wouldn't bother with that.
You kind of skim through it, and you kind of skim especially to the end of it. You do find a few notes in some of the journals that primarily talk about um, how they're packing up and leaving. And you find one specific entry that's just very simply stating that here are the procedures. We will be going towards Northbury, and Northbury will be taking some refugees for now, and hopefully the city of Vine Grove will take some as well. It seems to be almost like a logistical journal in a way, or not even logistical, more along the lines of like someone who's well informed of what's happening.
Hmm.
And they're kind of going. We plan on evacuating within the day, so we're hoping to get out of here as soon as possible and actively make preparations to keep everyone alive as possible. And they do mention the first wave here and there. The first wave was just devastating, but because it was relatively small, they were able to really defend themselves. But they made immediate preparations upon hearing of a essentially an invasion of dolls from the west, and they really prepped up to what you see was obviously the western side of the town, and they evacuated almost. They did a rushed evacuation for like not important people, but vulnerable people, women, elderly, children,
Gotcha.
etc. But then they did a more orderly evacuation where some people were able to take some of their stuff and leave.
Okay.
So you're comforted in the fact that you know that the town actively did work to evacuate properly and worked pretty well to
Right.
evacuate. But I would say this, like they mentioned quite a few deaths as well.
Okay.
And a nearby, they made a cemetery essentially in the town.
Okay.
Uh, let,
Gotcha.
let's say hi to Lanu and Tucker for a bit. Tucker, as you stick with Professor Lanu, you see that he is walking relatively comfortably around. As you hear for a moment the barking orders of Annalisa to follow her, and Professor Lanu seems to laugh a little, not in a haha way, but more along the lines of this is good, if that makes sense. Like somewhat
Mhm.
expected, somewhat like this is what I was hoping for kind of deal, but also
A
just kind of like
chuckle.
yeah, chuckle, yeah. Um,
Um,
go on.
Tuck is going to smile at him as they kind of separate, and he's gonna be like, just like old times, Professor.
Indeed, indeed. Well, to be fair, this is the first time we've had guests, so
Yeah. I picked up some ointment from the Kiwi guy.
his face
Um,
scrunches.
Tucker rolls his eyes and he says, I know, but he did help you, right?
He did, and the magic was grateful, and the burn cream was very good, but quite pungent.
Yeah, well, you're always telling me not to complain, so
Fair enough. He takes the cream and he kind of puts it in his satchel, and you guys
Tucker
go on.
Tucker slaps his hand onto his shoulder and he's like, I'll help you out with it tonight.
He goes, "I am more than capable of applying it to myself. Thank you." But he has a good laugh at that as you guys start walking towards and eventually make it towards the main road, where you see that the main road has been once again oddly barracks. The actual road itself kind of does this weird turn. It's not a big barracks, but more along the lines of it's a very thin, pointy fence of wooden spikes, right? There doesn't seem to be as many dolls coming from it. Like as you kind of look at it, like there's certainly dolls on it, but there doesn't seem to be as many as there were before. And as you guys go forward, you guys find something very interesting. You actually see a set of buildings on the far end that are clearly marked with recent or quote unquote more fresh symbology on them that is supposed to be, for example, like a forge or weaponry, etc. And you basically see what Professor Lanu hypothesizes are barracks or a quick like defense force kind of put together. You're not sure what's going on there, but um, he kind of goes, I think the history of the town is there. And he points to these set of buildings that you see on the map in orange. That he thinks the history of the town's there, while a lot more magical things might not be. He's kind of interested in the history at the moment, versus the magic and the thing of the dolls.
Right. Looking around, can Tuck tell which is like what the main guild was in this area?
You give me a history roll.
All right. That's what I have expertise in.
Nice.
So that would be 21.
The Soren's Blade.
The Soren's Blade. And what is the Soren's Blade?
The Soren's Blade was a blacksmithing guild that also expertise in training soldiers. It wasn't quite a mercenary guild, nor was it actually like even a force guild, but like its main thing was producing weaponry. It just happened to also have really good soldiers.
Blacksmith, producing weaponry, happen to have good soldiers.
Yeah.
Tuck is going to look at Lanu and he's going to say, you know, back when Annalisa told us what this place actually was, it kind of struck me as a little bit weird that Clem would attack a place that is known for having weapons and soldiers and stuff like that. Wouldn't he attack maybe a weaker town like Vine Grove first?
Lanu kind of thinks as you guys start walking, and you guys head towards that first building on the left hand side. And he opens the door and he goes, the hypothesis is that there was no rhyme or reason to the attack. We're not sure what spurred on the attack, but Clem seemed to have acted within rage, not per se strategy. And then everything just stagnated for a while. And you are quite familiar with the stagnation as you were born into it. He kind of goes, but he goes, the original attack seemed to have been much more based off of rage and hatred and emotion, from what we could tell.
Do we know if Kromble was one of the first towns that were attacked, or if it happened?
It was not, for certainly not. No, the first towns were in the west. You're thoroughly aware the first towns that fell were in the west.
Okay.
As you guys walk into this building, you see that the building. Let me see here. Next building, the former town hall. The last two buildings. All right. So you kind of look into the last building you get into, and the last building you get into, you see clearly a forge. This obviously seems to have been a blacksmith's area before, but now you can clearly see that the area has been roughed up and moved around and changed around and etc. And as you kind of look through the area, you clearly see that this place had been used before. A lot of the wood there has decayed over time, and the handles of weapons have long since been destroyed, but you do see relatively well-maintained iron for being 70 years old, shall I say. Like, the people who made this probably made this really well. It used to be like a masterwork quality until time had its way of it and whatnot. But as you kind of look around, you clearly see this was like a weapon forged area, and you have the opportunity to search and explore the area. Professor Lanu has immediately gone towards the forges and is determining your best guess, the use of the forge, how much it was used, etc.
Given Ordo's comment earlier about thinking that there might be someone here more recently,
Mhm.
Tuck is actually going to try and, whether both in the shop and maybe even a little bit outside, try and look for any tracks or signs of movement or items being used recently.
Investigation roll.
That is a 12.
This is not hard to find. I will say that. You kind of go outside for a little bit, just to take a look at it, and you see clear tracks. Well, not clear. You see tracks that are more pronounced in the ground that do lead to a building nearby. You could choose to tell Professor Lano, obviously, or you could go back in and you could do whatever you want. But they don't lead to your building; they lead to a building nearby.
Looking at the tracks, can Tuck tell what kind of tracks they are? If they're like human or something big or something small, like what can he discern from them?
They're human-esque shaped, sized, etc. Like you don't know. They're faded enough that you don't know, but your investigation roll wasn't good enough to tell you. But you do see the
Okay.
tracks. You do see the tracks.
Tuck is going to look back at Lanu and he is going to look at his cane
Mm-hmm.
and go and follow the tracks by himself.
Okay. This will be great. As you follow the tracks, you start heading.
Man,
Go on.
I should have gone with Tuck. I want Tuck.
As you follow the tracks, you end up going to what appears to be the old town hall, which is the building that kind of looks like a weird W-ish thing. You pass that one house, and you pass the other one, but you kind of go towards the town hall, and not much longer later, you are led to the front door, which is closed. Do you open it?
Can Tuck check for traps?
Yeah.
To see if the door is trapped or something.
Sure. Roll investigation, I believe, is what you have to do to check for traps.
Rogue's gonna rogue.
Rogue's gonna rogue.
15.
There are no traps. But
Tuck is going to.
there is a copper thread down at the floor. The copper thread doesn't seem to be part of any trap or anything. It's not like a wire. It's just a copper thread.
Tuck is going to pick up the copper thread.
Mm-hmm.
Does it do anything? What is it?
It looks like a thread of copper.
Can Tuck try and open the door sneakily
Roll
and
stealth.
just peek in?
Roll stealth.
Oh no! 8, I mean. 8.
You open the door, and in your training, you've obviously sneak in and kind of look around, go through the window. You don't see anything happening or anything inside, but you don't want to cause too much of a commotion. So you open the door and you step inside. And when you look around, at first you see nothing. You look towards kind of the side, like, okay, there's nothing here. You kind of walk forward. But after the first step you take, you realize in front of you there are at least a dozen standing dolls. Each and every single one of them seems to have copper threads strewn throughout them, and they are unresponsive to your entry. And that's where I'll leave off for today.
Oh man. Oh man.
We're essentially just at 3 hours.
God.
But yeah.
Cliffhanger.
But yeah, that's where we're gonna be leaving off for today.
Tuck being reckless.
Oh, fucking hilarious! Yeah.
I thought Annalisa was going to be reckless. Like, I didn't mean to draw everyone away from Tom.
Tuck, cause of death, and Elisa.
We already knew that was going to be the case, just not like this.
Fair.
That is fair. All right, guys. Big first and foremost, if you have not already, make sure to follow. That way we can come in for more D&D. I do this every other Friday. It's actually my favorite project on the stream. I know it's not. I know it's not as big as my Splatoon, but like it is my favorite project to do on the stream. It's one of my most favorite things. So I'm hoping you guys are enjoying it. And I hope you guys show some love to everybody here. Say thank you. Everyone here is a fantastic player and a fantastic role player. So thank you guys very much for joining on in. But of course, a big thank you to AJ for all their support, being one of my best friends. And of course, the amazing emote work. Subscribe, you get all those really cool emotes. You get to meme people with kiwis. How cool is that? Scott to Network, thank you very much for doing the intro. Check out their YouTube and Twitter. Same with AJ. A big thank you to my mods, AJ and Colin, for dropping in every once in a while. And a double big thank you to all of you guys for supporting me. And of course, a double big thank you to everyone here for playing with me. It's been a lot of fun, and I really do enjoy it. God, I love those kiwis so much. I did actually recently learn that kiwis do taste fantastic. So
They do.
I know
They're very delicious.
You never had a kiwi till recently?
Yeah, not till recently. No.
I feel like they always taste funny whenever I have them. Like they taste like tingly.
They
Yeah.
taste like almost like a strawberry.
Yeah, they're very, very sweet.
I do adore them. And hey, remember, if you are a subscriber, connect your Twitch Discord, join the Discord down below, and you're going to see all the cool stuff I have planned and all the things I'll be adding now to the Kromble list that I just kind of made up on the fly. So it'll be a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoy your time here. I hope you guys enjoy the stream. And I hope to be doing this quite a bit more. And here's hoping I can finally figure out how to fucking podcast it and put it on Spotify. I'll see you guys later. Stay Botanist Cool and stay safe. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Watch
Uh,
Wow, that's
feel-
real energetic, you guys.